I think we're going live.
Live all day.
What? Probably.
Live, yeah.
Live from New York. This is Saturday night. Well, I guess it is Saturday.
It's Saturday. Saturday afternoon. We're not in New York. Never been to New York. Been to New York State.
I've never
been to
been
Buffalo. I went to a Bills game with my dad in like 2009. We flew from Edmonton to Buffalo for the weekend for the home opener against the Seahawks.
How was that?
It was pretty interesting. Like a punter threw a touchdown on a fake punt to our defensive end, Ryan Blumen threw a touchdown. So beat the Seahawks. We were a pretty good team at the time. It was pretty interesting. We went to, so it's in Orchard Park is where Ralph Wilson Stadium is, where the Bills play. It's an older stadium, and it's like, or at least it was back then, it was like a fucking dirt crossroads, bro. There was like nothing there. It was like a crossroads with like Orchard Park on one side and like some little dinky bar and like a gas station on another side. And like we were in a motel like down the street. You like see Ralph Wilson Stadium. There was like not much around. Like it literally looked just kind of like a big open, like a deserted town. There was nothing there. It wasn't even deserted because there wasn't really any infrastructure really around it. It was just nothing.
Like open field?
It was nothing, dude. It was just like, yeah, like it looked like kind of a dump. And there was nobody there. No offense. I love Buffalo. So like, no offense, Buffalo.
Love you, Buffalo.
It looked like a dump. Fucking dump. And so we were in the motel there and we went to sleep. I mean, my old man went to bed, the same bed. We went to bed. And we woke up. We woke up at like 6 in the morning, and you get the 6:30. You could hear like noise, and it was like, what the fuck?
Like not like a rustling of a mouse.
No. Like noise. Like there was like a loud, like muffled noise, like outside there was like fucking, police or sirens or fucking like a riot going on or something. And we went outside, there was nothing out there when we went to bed. Crossroads of nothing. Orchard Park had Ralph Wilson Stadium on one end and 3 corners of absolute bodunk white trash, fuck all. There was nothing there. And then all of a sudden when we woke up in the morning, there was fucking 1,000 drunk people. At 6:30 in the morning, the circus had come to town. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. We
came out of the motel and there were people everywhere. I don't know how we got on this, but that's what you said, live from New York.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only time I've been to New York. Went to Buffalo and saw people multiplied by the tens of thousands over the course of one evening. I went to bed, there was nobody, dirt.
Yeah.
And then woke up, and then there was a circus.
Sea of people.
Saw like a 14-year-old kid in a fist fight with a sheriff. It was the city was rowdy, dude. Oh. Seattle was.
So that was like a morning, 6 a.m.
Same game I went to was the game that Brady, when he was still with the Patriots, went out with a knee injury, got hit in the knee by Bernard Pollard, and went out for the season. It was out for the entire season in week 1.
Yeah, how do they allow him on the field?
Buddy, the Buffalo fans, when they showed that replay on the board, went crazy. You would have thought Jesus was resurrected. For them to see Brady hurt in a game we're not even in. That's just the highlight of the game, of Brady being hurt. And like, just fucking, yeah! Everybody was just so jacked, man. It was the most savage shit.
All jazz.
My old man, who was like a Seahawks fan, and apparently just way too soft for his own good. He was like, former convict, too soft. He was like, man, this is fucking, that's a little far. Like, the guy's career just got altered and shit. It's like, fuck, these guys hate him.
Right, and his career did not get altered, did it?
No, he got better. He got better. No. Look at the bad juju you get from being a douche.
Right, that whole stadium, everybody that
Bills fans suffered for a long time. So yeah, I've been to New York. Been to New York once, fun time. Suffering in a different capacity, in a different way. Not suffering in that absolute abysmal abyss of not winning consistently, where you've got a QB carousel that never seems to get satiated. Doesn't matter who you bring in, whether you pay guys, whether all of a sudden you have some young guy starts to play well, or you have some like backup or a free agent you bring in for not much, starts to play well. It never pans out into anything consistent that you could build around. Everybody is a flash in the pan who in any type of longevity turns into a goofy who turns into way worse than they act. Right, turn.
Go.
Right, that's much
My
better.
neck.
I feel like now you're gonna educate me on something anyways. You look like you've turned to tell me about serious business.
Oh no.
So the Bills,
my neck.
now the Bills have a quarterback who's at least complicit in winning. He's at least a part of it. He's there and co-signing the winning. I don't know if he's as much complicit in winning as he's complicit in the losing.
Oh.
Because when he loses hard. Josh Allen's a hard loser, man. Like when it goes off the rails with Josh Allen at the fucking wheel, it is off the rails, bro. Like they're not just like kind of just like having a little fender bender. It's like nah, like say goodbye to Paul Walker. Like everybody's gone in this crash. Josh Allen is a train wreck on the field when things go sideways. So the Bills now suffer different because we go to the playoffs and ultimately self-destruct despite having talent everywhere around where the football is, which is different from the way we suffered for a very long time, where we couldn't get anything together. Now we have a quarterback good enough to keep us from obscurity, absolute obscurity. We are a viable contender, but Josh Allen's never proven that he's consistent enough to be able to, in the playoffs, hold us down against top competition game in and game out for multiple games in a row, because he's a scatterbrain. Not saying I'm not, just saying he is.
Well, Cody, what if I tell you right now, you have the opportunity to tell Josh Allen that right now.
Just trade him for
What would you tell Josh
trade
Allen?
him for Lamar Jackson. Like I said earlier when we talked about it, trade him for Lamar Jackson.
You hear that, Josh? Take a fucking hike. Get Lamar in there.
I think Bills fans would hate that take. We're so used to. I'm gonna correlate this to a topic that I enjoy, which is people who are single bitch about dating. Never settle. Bills fans, we have gotten far too conditioned to settling for mediocre fucking quarterbacks.
Rotation.
We just need to understand that Josh Allen, while he has a lot of these characteristics in spades that you're ridiculously happy to see play out at the top level in the NFL, he also has characteristics that are inherent to who he is, that are never going to get rectified, that are going to constantly risk your season. Because when things, again, with him at the wheel, inevitably go off the rails, it is a fucking wrap, because he will take apart everything he built.
Ouch.
Not intentionally. He's not like a malicious pouter who is a constant self-destructor. He's not doing anything that's like a moral issue. He's his own worst enemy on the field, and his impulses a lot of times are to act before he thinks. And unfortunately, in a situation like that, where you don't really have time to think, you do have to kind of act before you think. You have to still be thinking and acting at the same time. And Josh doesn't. And Josh will never get over that. I would trade him for Lamar Jackson. So the Bills suffer in a different way. Suffer in a different way.
So quarterbacks are investments. Do you think slabs are investments? Since quarterbacks are investments, right? You're thinking long term. Do you
I had
think
somebody ask me
like
about
that?
slabs. Okay, no and yes.
No and yes. Yes and no.
Big no and yes. Actually, slabs, bigbeavercomics.com.
Check us out.
Right, go to bigbeavercomics.com. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, all sorts of different places.
You'll find us on all the social media platforms.
YouTube. You're on YouTube here. Subscribe,
Facebook.
like the video, put your pants on, do all the good stuff. No and yes. Yes, the Conan
Oh yeah, too.
would be an investment book.
9-4.
This would probably be borderline, and I don't think anything else would be an investment in the sense that.
No, I wouldn't think so. Anything up here besides those two.
There would be nothing else that I would say is an investment book in that same sense. I'm not even sure this would qualify. If that was an extremely high grade, I think I would feel differently. Otherwise, it's a nice piece.
Yeah.
It is only in the amount that exists in the world. the ones that do exist are sought after because you can't have a higher print run than the print run you had. Yes. And a lot of print runs are like forecasted a long time out based on like the trailing demand trends. So like you can have a print run that's really low for things that end up being extremely consequential or had very little hype going into them. And on the other end of them, they ended up getting really good critical reception or fan reception or both. They get optioned, they become famous, they this, they that.
Yeah.
But you can't go back and ratify that. Whereas like with sports cards, like they number out how many rookies are gonna sign, all this stuff. Like this is a bit more of a variety bag. I would say a lot of the modern stuff, it's difficult to say that it's ever gonna be that it's ever gonna be really asset based, because we're already in an era where things are heavily collected. So a lot of things are curated on a level that is exponentially larger, like probably to 100 times from the way things were 30, 40, 50 years ago when that was printed.
Yeah.
But because that is still in a 9.4 and printed 15 or 20 years before the idea of even taking care of a comic book was an idea.
Oh yeah.
And it's a first appearance that's that rare, I would say that becomes, right, it becomes a different item. It is still a comic book. It still goes in your comic collection. Like there's no doubt about that. It's still Conan, it's still all those things. But it becomes a different book than these books because it does become like an alternative asset that's never gonna lose its, like we were talking about this earlier when it comes to like Conan. They're gonna find a way, because they always do, to reboot that character and have that character become exorbitantly popular and take some new actor or some actor that you can't foresee right now as Conan, who the minute they cast him, you're gonna be, whoa, that's a fucking great casting. And they're gonna be huge, and the thing's gonna be, because the Conan story is awesome and it's a name that everyone knows. And when that happens, that thing's only gonna, because it's in such low numbers and in such high demand. In any grade, people could get it in, any grade. So with that, it might not be as liquid as an investment. Like it's not as liquid as owning Ford, but how liquid are you in your fucking pension plan? You can't do anything about your pension plan.
No,
a good majority of your money is being handled by people inside your pension plan. You don't have any say about it. You at least have some tangible say about that. So while it's not as liquid as the stocks owned in your pension plan, you can't sell your pension plan anyways. So what's liquid about that?
Not actually, absolutely nothing liquid about that. But these are liquid. You can sell these at any point in time.
But they're not liquid in the sense that there's a lot of demand. Like you could put them on eBay and you could sell them like through an auction site for bidding and allow the bid to take it where the market says. But as a buy it now, you're competing with other people over the course of time and looking for the right buyer. But there's not enough. Like while a lot of this is really cool, like there's some really cool first appearances up here. Right, there's a bunch of them up there, 6, 7 of them.
Yeah.
But there's just, there's not, right, even the Ultimate Fall, the Miles is a first appearance.
First appearance of the Guardians of the Galaxy team, the new one.
That's the only one that could be in a different type of, where if you were talking to me about it, and you were telling me, oh, I bought some stuff and it's da-da-da-da-da, and I bought it because it's, like an investment. I think it's got in the next 10 years, it's gonna double in price, and these are the reasons why. Then like a 9.4 Conan the Barbarian, I'm gonna hear you as to why it's gonna be tough for you to tell me why most of the rest of these,
right, Punchline, in the Red Hulk, or
right like in the next 10 years, I think most of the rest of these have their top end already baked in, close to it at least. Even if they end up in a movie, even if Punchline ends up in a movie and that book becomes a $500 book, that's still not near where I think that book could become more like a $5,000. Look at where Giant Size X-Men 1 is now.
It has too much time.
It's Conan 1 from 70 and a 9.4.
Right. No, that has too much established time. That's too much history for that not to take a jump.
It's too much of a right. Whereas these, like I said, these came out all in an era where starting to take care of comic books, where to think about grades, or to think about bags and
old world.
That's old world, and it hits on something that's very, very important, which was the first appearance of Conan.
Yeah.
In a high grade. So I think there's a big difference when you talk about what comic books are, and as far as what collecting or what are assets. Because a lot of them, they'd be an asset. They are kind of liquid. You could sell them. But like, you could sell them. There's a varying amount that move in the marketplace for differing prices. But like, that there's kind of more like a preeminent like piece that you would keep, because unless you could find a 9.6 or a 9.8 that you were trading up into and paying.
That's high grade.
That's a piece that's not right. It's like if you had Giant Size X-Men 1 in a 9.8 or a 9.6 or right, like it becomes those books where you're just like, oh, I mean, there's no replicating that. It's a whole 181. It's a right. It's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's the first Punisher book from fucking Spider. It's that stuff. It becomes the books where they're old world, like you said. I think that's maybe a good term for it. It's not really Silver Age as much as it's just old world. It's pre and it's A tier characters in first appearances. Not variant covers, not incentive covers, not first appearances of B or C tier characters.
Right. Not
New World books. Not.
This is number one A-list tier character.
Right. A tier character. Arnold Schwarzenegger, multiple $100 million films, like over time, and a character, like I said, that's gonna come back. They're gonna take a kick at that can again. Whoever owns it.
Last one they did was like 2009, 2011.
That was
Momoa.
Momoa, right?
Momoa did.
I'm surprised that didn't go over.
It's well done. The Arnie films are something about Oliver Stone's writing in the first one, and the second one was pretty decent too. But there was something that was lacking in the Momoa version. I don't know exactly what it was.
This is obviously pre-Aquaman. This is after the first season of Game of Thrones, though, I imagine, right? Must have been.
No, this is before that.
Before that, too.
Yeah, this is like 2011 or something.
Oh, really?
I think 2013.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I haven't watched Game of Thrones, I think. But it was violent. It was good action, like non-stop action. But it was missing something that the original had. That I think
Arnold.
That maybe it was that. Maybe it's a size difference, because going from Arnold to Momoa.
Maybe if they used Momoa, maybe not now, but 5 years ago, once he started to get popular. It's almost like Conan, because we think of Arnie as Conan, it's almost like those are big shoes to fill. You might want to have just a fucking...
I thought The Rock could have played a good Conan.
Maybe Henry Cavill just comes in and plays Conan, or...
You know what Henry Cavill should play Riker in an Enterprise, Next Generation reboot if they ever did.
Cavill's a big dude.
He's...
Cavill could play Conan.
He's not that big. He's not that tall of a person. Because Ben Affleck's taller than him. Because he's like
Ben Affleck's like 6'1", isn't he? That's not small. Arnie's only like 5'11", 5'10".
Right. Well, okay. I guess then Cavill will be the same size as Arnie then, because fucking Ben Affleck towered him.
That's huge for the movies. Yeah, Ben Affleck's like 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, I don't think he's
Ben
that
Affleck's
tall.
I'm pretty sure Ben Affleck's as tall as me, if not maybe even a little bit taller.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Ben Affleck's not a small guy by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Big Boston boy.
Yeah.
Big tall drink of water.
But
stud.
Oh,
That's
stud.
what I call him. Right.
Yes. Well, he works from Boston. That's right.
He is. Right. He's a monster. I love Ben Affleck.
Yeah,
he's been in so much good stuff.
Absolutely.
It's impossible to deny that Ben Affleck's got acting chops,
for sure.
like writing chops too, apparently, right? Because he's had a bunch of things that are pretty critically acclaimed.
Didn't he write a Reindeer Game or something? Did he write that one? That was a good movie.
Oh, shit, he's been in a ton of things that are good. I don't know what specifically he's done. I haven't done much of the biography work on Ben Affleck.
I'm pretty sure he did Reindeer Games. Correct me if I'm wrong. but
I could do
I'm
that.
pretty sure that was a good movie.
You're usually wrong.
Ben Affleck was a pretty good actor. But what is your take on Ghost? Ooh.
My take on Ghost.
Do you believe in Ghost? First and foremost.
I have no firsthand experience. I've heard a lot of other people say that they've had like an encounter or know people that are being genuine
I've had
about encounters, but I never have. So, and I'm not trying to like give myself the bad juju where I'm calling this on to myself, because I'm not just out and out denying that this is existing. Just saying I have no firsthand experience. And I also know a lot of people are overreactors and exaggerators, so I'm not sure I believe other people that say it all the time. I'm not saying other people are lying, just saying maybe. So
no first-hand experience.
No, I'm gonna say.
No,
if I gotta lean one way and make a decision, no, I don't believe in ghosts.
Okay, no, before we go into the topic of ghosts, I'm gonna tell you my story.
Okay.
Actually, the house that it happened in is just down the street from here.
Okay.
I was about 15 or 16 years old. I moved in. I'm going to change some names around just in case. But actually,
to protect the innocent.
Who cares? So I was living with my godparents at the time because being a troubled little asshole. Anyways, moved over there, and she had her brother that lived in the basement, right? So I like slept on the couch at the first little bit, and her brother Donovan lived there. Donovan passed away in the downstairs in the basement room, right? So he passed away, and I took on the room. So I cleared out the room and everything like that. And everything was fine for the first couple months. Nothing weird happened. You just hear some noises here and there. Nothing happened.
Right, you were just hearing noises in my garage.
I was.
Right.
But the noises were real, though. Noises were real, though, right?
They were the creaks of it being minus 30 out.
Anyways, point proven. He's on my side. Noises were real.
Yeah, noises.
Okay, so the first thing that happened, which is really strange, me and Carrie, that's my godparents' niece or whatever, she was staying there too, she lived there. So we're watching movies.
These are my skeptical arms here. You see this? Yeah, I'm more and more skeptical as the story goes on.
That's okay, because it's hard to believe too until it gets to the climax of the story.
All right, I'm ready to bust. So, take me there.
So we're watching a movie and a picture fell off the wall. That was the first thing that was weird.
Whoa.
But it's on a bus route and it's a house. Didn't really think too much of it at the time.
Right.
Okay, so one night I'm lying in my room. Now there's no carpet in this room. There is a rug in front of my bed. Just so you know, you wake up so it's never touching cold floor. It's hardwood floor in the basement, but I have this mat that's in front of my bed.
Okay. I'm with you.
Now, like I said, the first couple months, nothing.
All
like
good.
I said, the picture fell off
all
the wall.
good in the hood. Picture in the, but that was
some weird creaking.
How do we know the picture was even associated with anything? Right. Picture could be nothing.
Exactly.
This guy wasn't the picture monster, was he?
No,
the picture monster came back.
No. Donovan was a big, lovable guy. He was a big guy, but very lovable, very, very nice, very kind-hearted, very soft-spoken. But anyway, so like I said, this one night I'm lying in the bed.
Yeah.
I'm just about to go to sleep, just lying, staring at the fucking ceiling, and I hear. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but rubbing on the carpet in front of my bed.
Okay.
Somebody's like dragging their feet.
And it wasn't just like the acid.
No,
kicking in.
I haven't tried acid. I was really only 15, 16 at the time.
You worried about a bunch of mushrooms?
No, that's
tripping
like that.
And balls on like a bunch of psilocybin.
I wish it was that. Just
it's like, shit! I hear the rustling of ghosts, Billy.
No, it wasn't anything
so
like that.
Right now.
No, but for the following time that I stayed at my godparents' house, I would hear that like around every night in my room around midnight to like 1 a.m.
Okay.
I'd always hear that, and it would not hear anything on the ground itself, but you would hear it on the carpet, like somebody dragging their feet, and it was like one of those like long shag carpets.
So haunted carpet.
I would say so. Haunted carpet.
Was there a carpet there?
Well, there was a mat there. No, there was nothing in the room. No, there was no mat or carpet.
So there was nothing that could be making that noise.
No, exactly. No, the mat was brought in.
So did you ever, when you moved around the room while it was making noise and you turned the lights on and all this,
no,
did it
there was
go
nothing
away?
there. There's nothing. Oh,
the noise went away?
Oh yeah, noise wasn't there or anything like that, but it was back and forth, like somebody's pacing in front of my bed. And this would happen
because you were in the ghost bed.
was in his bed,
Right.
in the room that he just passed
Were you
away.
in his
I
bed?
was in his bed.
God damn! You took a dead man's bed?
I did.
Holy fuck! Well, that maybe. I've never taken a dead man's bed or his
Well,
underwear, his
No, I never
socks,
took underwear,
or his
socks.
wife. Well, he took his bed.
I
He's
lied
like-
in the bed. It was a perfectly good bed. It's like brand new.
He's like, bro, I have jacked off in that bed a bunch of times. Like,
There was just the
You are-
spirits of all the lost children in that room.
right, maybe.
No, but
Son
so
of
that was my ghost experience.
That's a very intimate relationship to be in another man's bed. I don't have any of that. So that's maybe why ghosts don't
Okay,
happen to
let's
me.
not take this out of context. I was never in another man's bed with another man. I slept in a dead man's bed.
Man slept in a dead man's bed.
Right. Let's
Which-
just clarify.
Which
it.
is not necessarily better, but is maybe better. I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's a confusing situation. Don't be like Anthony. This is your chance to go to BigBeaverComics.com and look for some comic books or action figures or sports cards.
Sports cards.
And don't be like Anthony. Because
Lay off the
ghosts,
peyote.
right,
put down
ghosts,
the
even when you're
mushrooms.
15. I know it sounds fun, but there'll be ghosts.
Only do it when you're in the forest.
Don't sleep in dead guys' beds. Get a cot, sleep on the floor. Like, are you
It was comfy as shit, though.
right? It sounds like it traumatized you. It sounds like you have some sort of like ghost PTSD.
Well, it didn't traumatize. I was always believed in ghosts even as a young kid. I always
Now, do
loved
you
the
think that makes you
fascination.
more susceptible to be a sucker and believe?
No,
that
because
shit?
the place I live now, my grandma passed away, and she is definitely not there. I walk around in the night, try to listen for things like I said, I heard one thing one time, like the closet door opening, but that's just an old house.
maybe the
Places like 50
silence is them being there.
No, she was a
Hiding
loud
some-
person. She was not.
Maybe though.
She was not afraid to speak her mind.
So no
Potatoes.
ghosts at your house now.
No ghosts. No. But I think
like you said,
I,
you've tried to seance them. It sounds
I
like.
haven't tried seancing yet.
Should we try that?
We have ghost
We
bots.
we could live stream
Well,
a
there's
seance.
actually a bunch of like
What
technology
kinda-
you can use.
100 likes and he'll
Seance.
punch himself in the dick for 60 seconds.
I thought you
and-
said you're not gonna put that this time.
And we'll seance the dead.
Yeah, okay. We'll do that live.
Well,
Punch
that's
it in
what I'm
the
saying.
dick,
Right,
seance the
right,
dead.
right. We'll do it at the same time.
Oh,
We'll let
I'm
the
down.
dead come back, and we'll let the dead punch you in the dick for 60 seconds. Like, I think that's a move.
Well,
for sure.
there's actually a bunch of things that you can use to communicate with the dead. Like they have that EMF meter, the thing that changes color.
No.
From okay, so it's like green from like just normal. It reads electromagnetic fields. So they say when ghosts come in, they interrupt the electromagnetic field. Now, what the EMF meter does is when something gets close or interrupts it, the meter changes color from green to red.
Now, who says this? People that hunt for ghosts or
Yeah.
science?
People that hunt for ghosts, but
People who hunt for
EMF
ghosts.
meters, though,
Okay.
that's what they are
Just
for
check.
electromagnetic field. Okay.
Sure.
Now there's another thing called a REM pod. A REM pod is something that is similar to an EMF meter, except you have to get close and it has to be like touched for it to go off. So it is basically, it looks like a pod, so a circular thing, or it can be square. There's multiple different shapes to it, and it has like an antenna, just like you see on the car, right in the center of it.
Okay.
Now it makes a noise. Have you ever seen
Beep, boop, like that.
something like that? Would you ever
Cool.
see that?
Okay.
Something like electric.
Woo, 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 like that. Yeah.
Something like that. It does.
Good,
It does that
good.
noise. He's used one before, ladies and
Right.
gentlemen. He's known for that. That's the
Cougar.
yeah, I like that one. That's my ringtone.
Hey, hear my dog barking.
yeah. And the other one is like a spirit box. Well, a spirit box is just like a normal radio, or you can get one that's specified to cycle through channels. No, he's talking to ghosts right now. as we speak.
Angry
He's
dog.
at the ghost.
Angry dog fighting the ghost.
And it cycles through the channels super fast. And when you ask these ghosts,
like your TV channels.
no, not like your TV. Well, you could kind of use that, but it cycles through the radio channel super fast. So It
Okay.
doesn't stay on a channel so long. It's only like a fraction of a second.
Okay.
And sometimes they get such good responses from questions that actually get like full sentences out. And it's like, oh shit, for the time it takes for that sentence to get out, it's gone through like hundreds of channels. And it's pretty cool. Like I still say it's a little iffy, but
Sounds like bullshit.
It does sound like bullshit, but
Sounds like
some
a lot of bullshit.
But some of the evidence is actually
This sounds
pretty
like
corroborating.
this doesn't sound like there's any evidence.
There's a lot.
This sounds
of
like there's a lot of circumstantial nonsense.
No, I think there's a
nothing.
lot of
I think
proof
your
to it.
ghost experience is a lot of fucking phooey,
No.
and these other ghost things.
I think you have to experience it first. It's all about perception.
Right. The
And
fact that I
experiences.
haven't lets me know that like my extremely critical fucking belief structure would be the perfect thing to be like, wow, it changed my opinions dramatically. I did a complete 180 from a non-believer to a believer.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not thinking.
But it's like you were like, oh, I always believed.
Well, as a kid, yes.
I always wanted to believe.
Okay, but I don't believe in
So
everything
then
like that because
you're-
I've had sleep paralysis a few times.
You've told me this.
And I don't believe that's supernatural. I know that's just pure science.
How do you know? How do you know it's not ghosts?
Because I'm sleeping.
How do you know it's not
a
ghosts?
science.
I unleashed.
Oh, yeah.
In a previous seance I did on a live stream.
Did you?
Maybe. How do you know I didn't? Why would you presume that?
Did you really let that ass play ghost music again?
Yeah, again. Right. It's gonna get all around the rim and
Did
inside.
you cut that out?
In and
'Cause,
out.
my insurance is not covering these fucking anal stitches anymore.
Right. Damn. That's
No.
deep.
But, so you don't believe in ghosts, but there's multiple different types of ghosts. You don't 100%.
I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. It just seems like kind of a weird concept to me. I don't know where I think humans are inherently scared. We're visual creatures, so when we can't see what the noise is or when it's dark,
bump in the night, of course.
we make these grand assumptions because we cross many bridges in our mind long before we get to actual bridges in physical form. So we're very jump to the conclusions type of, because we're visual. So
Okay.
I think the noise could have been made by any indiscriminate sort of thing by your bed that you just weren't accounting for.
No, I counted for everything.
There's variables you
something
can't
else.
account for. I'm sorry. You just were not.
No, you have to be there.
Life is not, it's not that complicated.
It sounded just like
It's very
this.
biological. Like, I believe in aliens because of the statistical numbering.
Yeah.
Where like it seems like there's no way that there couldn't be. And I also believe in the idea that there might be a creator because it seems like such a statistical anomaly. The idea that things are so perfect in the way that we can like interpret life and have this consciousness, that the idea that there is an intervention almost seems like it would be the lower of the two percentages, because it seems like something divinely intervened on only so that the experience can be as visceral as possible.
So if you believe in a creator, it wouldn't it just be not as crazy?
But it's
to
only
believe in a ghost?
statistically, I believe. Statistically,
okay.
I'm saying it's more likely just because it seems like something that was intervened on.
It's
I don't know
likelihood
if I
of a-
believe because I don't know what do I believe in. Like I believe in things other humans have come up with.
Well,
But that's
yeah.
all everything is. It's like, so I'm
Yeah,
a human. I don't know. I don't
absolutely.
fucking know. So if I don't know, you don't know.
I do know.
Not in that
Ghosts
sense.
are not real.
I just think
I'm still up in there.
I just think ghosts are a strange sort of thing that a lot of people say they've experienced, but it seems like the people that have experienced those seem to be susceptible to those type of experiences, if that makes sense. They're a little bit
For
more
sure.
gullible, or I'm not saying you
gullible.
are. I'm not saying you are.
No, because like I said, I do believe in ghosts.
I love you.
If I did had such belief in
You're
ghosts,
my favorite.
I've only had that one experience. If I was so gullible and believed in it all, I would think every little sound or anything is ghost.
How do you know it's not? How do you know all sounds aren't
Because
ghosts?
it's a feeling, though.
Ghost
It's a
farts.
gut feeling. It's
How
not
do you know
just,
all sounds aren't ghost farts?
Well, they are. They're ghosts. Of
That's what I'm
lunches that
saying,
you've
dude.
eaten or dinners.
So you need to act
what a fart
as
is.
irrationally as possible in the face of
So it's
an
not
invasion of
just
ghost
hearing;
farts.
it's how you feel, though. It's something that's just not. Oh, it's a sound. It's a feeling that you get. So like being here and you hear sounds is nothing, but it's a
Scares me.
difference of feeling like there's somebody there. Though.
being here. Hearing sounds scares me.
Does it now?
I get extremely scared. right, yeah.
Blenders.
All sorts of
Those really
noises.
scare me. I don't like that stuff.
Right.
So you don't believe in ghosts. You're hard, definite. No.
I'm a
ghosts
no.
on
I'm
this.
gonna be a no.
What about the Loch Ness monsters, cryptids? Or do you believe in that, like the Ogopogo? Local myth here,
Kind of
Ogopogo.
local. Not really.
Well,
Province over.
It's national, local, nationwide.
National, yeah,
local.
sure. National, local.
This should be our national
I'll
animal.
give you that. Right.
Be a national.
Okay. What's the question? You want to know if I believe that there's actually in the Okanagan River that there's an
Well, you've heard of the
or that in the Loch Ness in Scotland that there's
I firmly
or in the Loch in Scotland that there's the Loch Ness monster. Is that what you want to know specifically from me?
Well, what I want to know is just like, have you heard of Ogopogo before?
I've heard. Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
So
in both iterations, like I said, Canadian or Scottish.
So do you think like an animal like that? I personally think an animal like that is. I go back and forth because like the technology that we have, you think you would found like a body or carcass or some sort of bones by now, right? Kind of like the Bigfoot.
Nah, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think we would have enough. No, I don't
do
think
have
so.
Like it's not really a story. Like I've never seen one. It's just like I remember. I lived by Castle on the Lake Resort in Kelowna, right? Okay, so I was in high school, and I had this date with a chick named Kirby. And Kirby. So I stole this boat. Well, I want to say steal this boat.
Stole a boat.
So
you're a felon.
It's a paddle boat.
Just say you stole a boat. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how the boat was propelled. You stole a boat.
They leave it on the beach as long as you return a soy castle.
There's a boat stolen and you're the culprit.
Right.
Okay. Moving right along.
I just remember thinking,
CSIS or whoever the Canadian authorities are, if you want to swarm, you can absolutely do that. Otherwise, carry on with the story. Go ahead. I think there's tell us your boat. Tell us your boat thief story.
It wasn't. I borrowed. It wasn't really stolen.
Destroyed.
But I just
destroyed the evidence afterwards.
I remember just being out there. I couldn't enjoy myself.
Destroy Kirby.
Oh, I did afterwards. Yeah.
That's really what matters.
But what I was going to say is I couldn't enjoy myself being out on the lake. It's the only thing I kept on thinking every little fucking splash on the lake. I know it was just fish with it, but I was thinking, I'm gonna get fucking, I'm gonna boat to get laid, and then boom, eaten.
And that's your inherent wanting to believe. Because you enjoy the dope, but again, you've never encountered Ogopogo.
No,
I've never encountered Ogopogo.
No, never.
Are you leaving? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? No, love you. Have fun. Bye. So yeah, Ogopogo sounds like bullshit to me.
I think he is, but he has
it's not because it's not a plausible theory in the idea that there could actually be some stuff that's
what great thing about myths are. Right?
Shut the fuck up and let me talk. So prehistoric, there could be stuff that's prehistoric. I understand that in places that maybe we haven't really explored, if that's even like a real thing nowadays, other than the very bottoms of the ocean. But I don't think in bodies of water that small, that things that large would only have these like real minuscule, like incidental encounters that no one can really corroborate and there's no physical evidence of. I think that's the issue. So I'm not saying places like Antarctica or the bottom of the ocean don't potentially have animals or species of things that we've never actually encountered yet as humans, but Lake Okanagan, pretty sure that one's been covered.
Like supposedly its home is under Rattlesnake Island. There's a sequence of underground caves and it goes on for a while and they haven't been like mapped or anything. But like it goes, the Okanagan is pretty deep. It's almost like 1,000 feet deep and stuff like that.
It's very big.
It's like 127
There's too many people in it 24 hours a day for it to not.
Right, well, yeah, like the technology nowadays, you think you would have found something or like it'd show up on, like you get the anonymous thing, you see this massive thing on radar.
It's still just a lake.
Right, exactly, it's still just a lake. It doesn't, and like, sure.
It's not an ocean.
No, like
the Kraken could be hiding in the ocean.
Yeah. The Kraken, that'd be something.
I mean, that's at least...
that's way too big. You find the Kraken by now.
There's at least so much of the ocean that's never even been... there. It's been flown over at 30,000 feet. It's never been looked at. It's been blown through with a container ship or a cruise ship. not even a cruise ship in some
No.
parts of the open ocean.
No.
Container ship.
Well, that's the cool thing
Nothing
about the
else.
ocean too. It changes all the time because the currents.
Of course.
drift.
So there could be some weird, but not Lake Okanagan or in the loch in Scotland.
No,
I think it's too small of a body.
I
It doesn't have the. So it's an interesting idea because I do think there are a lot of unexplored areas.
Oh, absolutely.
Antarctica seems like an
under the
area
ocean,
we
there's
don't have.
rivers.
Because Antarctica's broken up into like a whole bunch of different countries, like 8 or 10 or 12 countries.
Oh, on the continent. you
all
mean?
have like little chunks of Antarctica that they have.
Yeah, so it's
like-
just for like research purposes.
Right, but why can't you go there? Like it's funny that like there's all these countries that you like can't visit.
Yeah, they're forbidden.
Where it's like it's not forbidden, but it's like it's very cumbersome to get the ability to actually go there.
Well, actually, no humans, unless if you're fucking allowed to go out there, you can't go to Antarctica.
I'm sure you can.
You can probably go on a trip like an icing boat, but you can't go like there and like vacation there.
No, that's what I'm saying. I guess there's no amenities either, but
No.
there's no amenities because no one will let anybody build anything. I imagine. It seems like it's kind of a
What is going on
self-fulfilling
over
problem. Right, it's cold.
Oh, very
I know
cold.
that.
Maybe it's not cold at all. Maybe it's actually a tropical place.
It's an entrance to Inner Earth. You ever heard of Shambhala?
Shambhala, yeah.
As Agartha. That's
Hey, it
that's
could
what
be.
Inner Earth is.
It
So
could
you got to go through the poles, right?
Yeah.
Antarctica's
I wonder if
the-
that is open.
What's Buddy's name though? His
Bird?
diary.
General Bird?
Yeah.
General Bird.
Admiral.
Larry Bird.
No, not Larry
Are you
Bird.
sure? I'm pretty sure his name was Admiral Larry Bird.
Celtics great Larry Bird went to Antarctica and found Inner Earth. I remember that. No, Admiral something Bird. You are right.
I know
It is
Bird.
Bird. Oh, Larry. Larry.
Billy Bird.
That's what he did when he retired early. So he was having those back troubles. He was like, fuck.
Well, I think he flew into Inner Earth and then he played professional ball.
Think so?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Oh, you think he was like PEDs, like Inner Earth PEDs,
Makes you young.
influenced by the
Absolutely.
Inner Earth creatures. I like Larry.
There's a good guy.
Who's this bird motherfucker? I can't remember his name now. Fucking Admiral Bird, doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Fuck that guy. Because he's a liar. He didn't go to no Inner Earth.
How do you know?
I love those
Did you
stories.
pour through the
I love
pattern?
those stories. Those are my favorite things to like sit and listen to on YouTube before I go to bed. Love these guys, Mr. Mythos and some of these dudes. that
Oh,
do
yeah.
these stories about Inner Earth and all sorts of conspiracy nonsense, but it's so fiction bullshit. It's no different
It
than
is.
listening to like a biography on Dracula. We're just like, it's just make believe. It's whatever you
Richard
want.
Bird.
Richard,
General.
Admiral Richard Bird, right?
Yeah,
Because he's a pilot.
he is a pilot.
They say
Old birdie boy.
flew into Inner Earth,
He did.
where he kept flying, and it went from
Kept
ice,
on
and it
going.
went all of a sudden to like
Tropical and shit.
nice, and then it something took the controls and brought him in and spoke to him and let him like.
Mhm.
I don't remember what it was. There was some other interactions he was able to have with these other inner.
It's a very fantastic story.
It's a very bullshit story. I don't
Oh,
know if it was
of course.
him, because like apparently it was his son that like found this diary, and it was like a private diary. But it was like after he
Oh.
was dead,
Really?
and his son ended up dying like some like weird circumstances at a pretty like young age. So like I don't know. It sounds like nonsense, man. The Inner Earth sounds like a really cool concept though.
Definitely. How it has
Right.
like another sun or something inside the Earth. It's like a day and night cycle.
It's kind of it's the first time I heard it as a conspiracy theory. I thought it was one of the more interesting conspiracy theories. Like, obviously, some of the ones that have a lot of like real life connotations to them can get a little more interesting when you talk like September 11th or some shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so real. So like every little conspiracy thing like has a lot of real tangible emotion tied to it. Or I mean, for people who live through it, I guess we're old now. There's a lot of people who haven't.
sure.
Right, BigBeaverComics.com, you old fucks.
From
Right, go there
home.
for comic books and all sorts of stuff. Subscribe here on YouTube. Be quiet now. So yeah, there are things September that have a lot of like really strong memory, but I don't remember what I was talking about. Some other shit.
No, you were right.
There was some other shit. Right.
Oh, conspiracy theories.
Right. So for conspiracy theories, right, there are some that I like more than others. That I think have more of more legs to them that are interesting. The inner Earth one I've always found to be kind of attractive.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's an interesting concept about like the Earth having these like hollow poles and things going in, and there being like another civilization living inside of the Earth. When you said like another sun, and I always thought that was like really creative. Because it's not based on anything real life. There's nothing you're not attaching to a bunch of emotion from the thing that played out on CNN.
No.
It's a traumatic thing.
You're getting them from
You're getting it's all fiction, and it's way better than Ogopogo or the Yeti. It's this whole like fanciful other world. It's better even than like Flat Earth or any of the other bullshit, like aliens.
What do you mean flat Earth's not bullshit, bro?
Well, I mean, you're right. The aliens, see, because there's aliens can go on. You can have a million different types of aliens from a million different galaxies.
Oh, basically.
So it goes on infinitum, which adds to a lot of the creativity variety. Where if you really want to get down to the good stuff, you can just do Star Trek or Star Wars, where there's just aliens on top of aliens on top of aliens, so you run into characteristics to pump out. When you're talking about on the Earth, you know, like the coolest thing I think almost anybody's ever done conspiracy theory wise was to go inside it. And be like, oh, on the inside, there's a whole nother planet alive with the sun, and these things live there, and they're giant. Like, weren't they like Nephilim? Isn't that the idea that the inner Earth?
Something like that, yeah. Like,
and aren't Nephilim like bastardized kids of angels? Like one angel and one like...
Yeah, it's when an angel comes down and...
bangs a chick.
Yeah, they're like
bangs a human,
gods.
right.
Yeah.
Becomes a big giant.
Yeah.
So that's pretty dope. It's a pretty interesting conspiracy theory. It's way out on the fringes. It's almost like Scientology. You want to say that?
That's based in fact. What do you mean?
Right.
He was not a science fiction writer.
That one sounds really out there. And the fact that like there's been so many adopters. Right. It's just
we're all the spirits of the fallen aliens. Are we not?
You gotta get Thetans out. Or whatever it is.
Thadions or Tachyons.
Xanadu or whatever his name is.
Right, Xanadu.
Right, Xanadu.
Right,
Xanadu.
Zippity Bop Bop.
You're right, yeah. It's
Nordberg.
It's an interesting concept.
It is.
That L. Ron Hubbard stuff.
Right.
I don't want to rag on people's beliefs.
No.
You nobody believes in conspiracies like they believe in their religion stuff. So let people live their life.
I know. I wish I would have joined the Illuminati when I had the chance.
You did.
For $2,500.
Did you get? Was it a phone call?
It was a text
message.
Text message.
Join the Illuminati.
It was the best text message I think I've ever had to read through because it was pretty thorough.
Really?
It wasn't just like.
What made you not? Because you've brought this up to me a few times now.
Yeah.
What made? This is going to be the last segment we do here. So give me what you got here. BigBeaverComics.com. Okay, well, what made you not join the Illuminati?
What made
this was it. You had it on a layup. T-ball you were playing now was being on the other side of the master plan.
What the story was, they're like, you've been selected out of millions of people.
Didn't really say that.
Yes.
That's fucking nice.
And you've been honored to join the Illuminati.
Okay, wait. Now, so this is the first couple sentences. Yeah. First two sentences. How hard are you right now?
Oh, I'm fucking 75% chub.
Why? Right. Oh, this is good stuff.
Illuminati.
I like
chance
this.
To join an honored. Yes, I was almost at full max.
Because you love this kind of nonsense.
I definitely do. So I started reading it, and it's like you'd be able to join us on our secret island. You'd be given a day.
Wow. Secret island.
All this stuff for like the initiation. And all I needed to do was give them a credit card number or wire them $2,500.
Nice. And when do we send them the money?
Well.
Did they rescind the offer? Is that what happened?
Well, no.
Or did they cease communication with you?
They ceased communication with me when I did not give them the $2,500.
Why did you think you were better than them?
Well,
I don't understand.
If they were the Illuminati, they could just take it themselves. They could have just said, boom, you're part of the Illuminati now.
Maybe that's not like their union agreement. Maybe they have Maybe the Illuminati has like protocols and checks and balances. They have to
not
meet
according to Alex
shareholders,
Jones.
bondholders.
Bondholders.
I don't know what the Illuminati might have or not have in regards to
Neither do I.
having to uphold previous fiduciary arrangements. But
No.
maybe that's just a part of the process.
It could have been.
Right, so I don't know why you were so judgmental. You could have been a part of like,
Well, just off the bat, I was skeptical too because
Why?
who gets a text message from the Illuminati?
you
I
do.
mean,
People
and
that are capable.
in hindsight, that's what I was
right.
thinking. It's
Hindsight
like
is
I've
20/20.
never got a text message saying this was the Illuminati before. Maybe it was the Illuminati, and I was just thinking it was a scam text message.
No,
But it possibly could have been the because, like, if you were a secret organization, how would you get a hold of your text message, right?
Well, I mean that, and like maybe
I was gonna say
don't
like
know.
maybe like
I haven't had to meet people in a long time. Going live on the internet,
what do you mean,
talking
people?
about
Tinder,
sports.
those kind of things.
Tinder?
text messages.
Did the Illuminati try to get a hold of you on Tinder?
No,
That would have been rowdy.
That would have been.
That would have been a
rowdy.
way better story than this
It
one,
would have
where
been.
you just turned down the Illuminati.
Well, like I said, I was skeptical because if it was Illuminati, they could.
I don't know if
take
the
money.
audience agrees with me. Like, they might not. So, like, you guys could let us know in the comments. But, like, you sound like a pussy.
I in hindsight,
You
yeah.
sound like someone who
I
really
feel
had
right now I'm a wet
that
soaking
the,
pussy.
that the Illuminati was trying to recruit you to a situation that was going to be quite advantageous for you in the long run. Because you were obviously going to now be, fast-tracked into the Bilderberg group and
Of
all
course.
these other situations that were well beyond my capacity to understand. The only thing I can understand is a missed opportunity. And that's what I see here is somebody who just, I don't know, were you holding out for a better deal like Lamar Jackson? Or
I wasn't.
so much. of
I'm
the-
just Anthony, the Lord of the Idiots, who
So,
let the Jordan
After
Illuminati
they
go.
sent you that first text message, did they contact you ever again?
No, they didn't. I think it was a one time.
Did you ever try to contact them?
I tried looking for the text messages, but it was gone. So no.
Vanishing text messages?
That I am prone to delete stuff sometimes, so
Why would you have deleted correspondence with the Illuminati?
I don't know.
Like, that just seems
I think
like
it was
something.
brainwashed. So once I said no to Illuminati, they're like, oh, delete from the phone. They just took over me, and it was just a pod person.
I don't understand why you would be so.
I don't understand myself.
Right.
That's why I'm kicking myself in the ass right now. I could have had
So
fancy opportunities.
I could have known someone on the inside that knew Jay-Z and all those
Right.
other people that sold their soul for talent. Like,
I could do that whole triangle thing. Illuminati, if you hear me out there.
but I don't.
I owe you
think
$2,500.
they probably right. We'll try to negotiate. Maybe that if they really want you still after all these years.
2,800 then.
No, don't. No, weren't they trying to take money from you? Are you offering to pay them more?
Well, he's a negotiator.
Right, negotiate the other way. Fuck. I think you might almost be played out. All right, you guys make sure you negotiate with the Illuminati. I'm going to take a
I'm on
piss.
that.
It's Saturday. We're going to be back
It is
tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk about some more stuff.
All
Have
right.
a good one.
Please. Oh, boy, we did open a lot of hockey.
Right. I'm not even sure if this is 2
Like
years
a buttload.
mixed together or...
What do you mean?
I'm not sure if this is, if we have 2 different years here mixed together, because like there's a lot of rookies. I guess there's a lot of teams in hockey. There's a lot of players.
There
It very
is a
easily
lot
could
of
just be
people.
1 year because it's spread across a bunch of different sets. Because we have a lot of stuff over on YouTube where people on this camera
Come check us out right now.
the people who can hear us through these sweet microphones. Yeah.
Hey, ladies. How's it going?
So what's going on? You smoked a bowl, you're better now.
Yeah, I was really crashing back then.
Right.
I was, oh my God, I was dying.
These hockey cards are
Back
immense.
in here.
You're getting back in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I was gonna say, we were talking about the history of the world part 2. Go check that out. Great show. You'll get some laughs out of it.
Oh, yeah, you were still talking. That's right. I
Right.
forgot you were still here.
Anyways, what else is going on? They have a new Alien movie that's just started filming this month, or will be filming.
You told me that you don't know if there's a Sigourney Weaver or not.
I do not know, but there should be a Sigourney Weaver.
There should be a Sigourney Weaver, right? Right?
Sigourney
Who's-
Weaver
who's
should
put
be
it-
like a queen queen in the movie. Like she runs the aliens. She's just like boom.
Wow, what happened in the? Okay, so like
So in the fourth one, because they mixed the DNA, right? In Aliens Resurrection, she had her alien or her DNA mixed because she had the alien in her stomach, right?
Okay.
And when she died in the third movie, she fell like into the lava, and she had like the the chest burster come out of her. So she falls in the lava, and then in the fourth one, she's resurrected with aliens.
Resurrection.
Yeah, there you go, name drop. And then that happens. Anyways, that'd be kind of cool if she comes back from this alien. Alien
I
franchise is
like
so
Sigourney Weaver.
She's in Avatar.
She's excellent. She had the afro in the second one, the curly afro. It was awesome.
Yeah.
She's the best female.
She had like a
action
poofy one in the
star.
first one too, but she had the more tighter.
She's the best female action. She's way better than.
I would almost have to say she's almost the original female.
Oh, she is for sure the original.
79? No, 77. Sorry.
Yeah, but she's also the best. She's not just the
Well,
original
79.
because she is the original, especially as far as like in a serial manner where there's not just like one thing where some like a woman was like the predominant actor in the movie and it would happen to be action oriented. Like this was like a multi movies where everybody had it well received, not just critics, not just fans, not just the box office, but it was unanimous that Sigourney Weaver and the Aliens franchise she was pretty top notch. Good movies, good ambiance, good emotional type of drawing. Like it was pretty all encompassing. Those were heavy movies. Those weren't just like simple surface level horror movies by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
there was a lot of.
It was definitely a suspenseful horror.
And she made a majority of that feel real because she's not like an over actor or anything.
No,
she did a good.
I wouldn't say so.
Alien was a pretty solid franchise. Well, I like Sigourney Weaver and the Alien stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
What's her name? Weebly? What's her?
Ripley. Ellen Ripley.
Right, Ripley.
That's just a daughter.
Weebly. Shout
Weebly.
out Brad.
Ellen Ripley. Weebly.
Brad knows that joke. The Weebly joke.
The Weebly joke.
Shout out to Brad. That's I said the wrong thing, right?
Shout out, Brad. Oh,
Shout out
you
to
said
Brad.
something you should have said, huh?
No. I just called her
okay.
Weebly when I should have known it
The
was
Weebly.
Ripley. And then I immediately know why I called her that. Because of a joke that Brad used.
Okay.
Shout out to I'm not going to insulate it here.
Anyway, so it starts filming this month. Hopefully it'll be good. It's been a long time since an Aliens movie that came out that is good. Like,
So it hasn't even started filming yet.
No,
So they haven't fully cast it yet, probably.
No, it starts filming this month. Like they had Alien Covenant, which was an okay movie, but
Did it make that sound when they made it?
It really did.
It made that sound?
It did.
That like the ooh, is that like
Ooh.
that? That's like that sound.
Yeah. That and some other rumor news to cap off this movie.
Are
stuff.
you just starting these rumors? Or are you
I
like a
am
rumor
starting news
monger?
right now. Beetlejuice 2, of course, this has been in development hell for like 20 years. But,
That sounds like a shitty place to be.
so, the rumor mill is...
I'd rather be in like a hand job of heaven. Just say it rather than
who
development
wouldn't
hell.
want to be in a hand job other than...
Just development hell just sounds kind of whack. Anyways, go ahead.
So, the rumor is Michael Keaton has signed on because Tim Burton's going to do it. And...
Sign on the dotted line.
Phew, John Hancock, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, put his cock on it.
Since there was a big success with the Netflix series Wednesday that Tim Burton did, Jenna Ortega, the star of that,
How so? There's been
it's really good, received really good. It's been renewed for the second season.
it's Netflix.
Netflix.
Tim Burton.
Well, that's for the Wednesday show.
Oh,
That's
right.
Adams,
My son's watched that a couple of times.
So Tim Burton directed that. So she's going to come back, or Jenna Ortega is going to come to the franchise and play Lydia's daughter. So that's Winona Ryder's character.
Okay.
So she's going to be signed on. This is the rumor. She's signed on to play Lydia's daughter. Yes, in the rumor mill.
You are the
For Beetlejuice
rumor
2.
starter.
I would love to play or see Beetlejuice 2. Beetlejuice back.
I think everybody would. I think people have been waiting for that for 30 plus years.
Michael Keaton's back as Batman.
What happened then?
Back as Beetlejuice. This is the 80s all over.
Like, does anybody know what necessarily happened there?
There's been multiple sequels that were in production.
Right, but that's got to be with anything, right? Like, you get it over the hump for the paycheck. So, like, there's got to be more of a hang-up than just, like, what we think on the surface level, because it seems so strange that Michael Keaton didn't really capitalize on that Beetlejuice bag, because that would have been a big fucking bag to catch.
This is what happened. This is what I believe happened. It's the same thing that happened with Tim Burton's Superman movie. Because I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers did Beetlejuice, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but we didn't need a Superman like in that specific timeline,
no,
so you could justify putting it off. But like,
there's a sequence of events that could lead up to this.
Beetlejuice had to be Keaton. It couldn't have been somebody else.
No, it couldn't have been.
You couldn't have just put some other douchebag in the Keaton job as Beetlejuice in '92 and got it over. But in '92, as Beetlejuice, it was Michael Keaton. It could have been an ass movie and made right. But if it's the second one, I'm saying, because we know the first.
No, it had to have been Keaton.
But they didn't, and they didn't capitalize on that, getting that bag. It's always seemed to me like there's more to that story.
There is, and this is what I was going to explain to that is no, because Tim Burton had a good line of movie, a good string of movies that came out. So
right. Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns.
Lots of good stuff.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Burton was a gangster.
Exactly. So what happened when he got issued to do the...
Burton did Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes, he did.
Which in retrospect now is like iconic.
Very iconic.
People still rock that shit now.
So even though he had a string of hit movies, the Warner Brothers had a string of flops.
Fail.
Exactly. So they took a safer approach instead of investing in effier projects such as like, Beetlejuice 2 or another Superman movie. So they started investing in more down-to-earth kind of satire dramas. So that led to the downfall of Superman and probably the downfall of Beetlejuice 2 in this law.
People put up these like self-imposed wax safety nets where like they think they're doing themselves a favor by steering away from something that's gonna print money. Like, you should still give your audience what it wants. Like,
oh, absolutely.
You don't have really too many legs to stand on when it comes to taking these like ideological or religious or whatever it happens to be type of stances on the company dime, because eventually what happens is sentiment turns and then revenue turns, and all of a sudden you're out on your ass and they're bringing somebody back in to try to right the ship that's a little bit more open to it all.
Just back on.
Because if you've got a good kids show, do a good kids show. Or if you've got a good this, do a good that. And why does it have to? I don't understand why one or the other defines you as a good or bad human being. Like, you could just do a more violent something or other, because if that script or something calls for it, it's not like you're shoehorning it in. You're doing it because that's the story. And that's the way the story was creatively conceptualized. So you're just exploring that story in the visual medium of film or television. And if it has violence, it has violence. If it has nudity, it has some nudity. If it has none of that and it's a loving, romantic story, or a story about a child with cancer overcoming the odds and making the soccer team, whatever it happens to be, as long as it's contextual to what you're trying to present, and it doesn't seem like you're reaching or trying to shoehorn things in, I don't understand why these companies aren't willing to just mix and match to try to satiate the box office.
I think it's just...
Beetlejuice 2 was a lot of lost money.
Oh, yes.
That's lost money.
It's a lost franchise. It definitely is, and I think...
Yeah, because, dude, how many people... I mean, here, we're talking about it for a bit. We're talking more about the X, Y, Zs than we're talking about...
Yes.
We're talking about the actual franchise.
I think
there's not much more to say.
No, I think it's just too many people got their hands in the honeypot, sort of say, that it just muddies the water, so a person can't even really get off their original version of the movie.
Yeah,
I think that's why it sucks. That's why there's no good.
You think people become gun shy? Is that what you're saying? Like creatively gun shy, where they got
absolutely.
The yips,
there is
and
no
they don't want to.
creativity.
Oh no, but I'm saying, do you think they've become creatively gun shy, where they've got the yips and they're saying like, I don't think I can top the first one, so I'm gonna like stifle it, tie my shoelaces together, and like trip and be like, oh, I don't know, fuck, all this false starts. Because I don't think I can top it.
No, I don't think it's that at all. I think it's almost the exact opposite. I think you get the bigger budget, right? So there's more money involved, more investors, and the more investors get involved, the more hearsay they have.
So why haven't these cucks done it then?
I don't know.
What's their problem?
Tim Burton's on the case right now.
Fucking dude, you had 30
Do it.
years, dude. You're gonna be dead. Tim Burton's gonna die of old age
He's dead of it.
and have not made another Beetlejuice. Like it's
should.
a strange thing to
I
like
would
die
like to
on
see
the
him
vine.
do another Beetlejuice and another Batman movie. And another PB. Let's do another PB movie too.
I mean, we'll never be able to get
trilogy.
Batman with Michael Keaton in the same sense that we would have had it, but like you could do Mike.
Flash give you a good
What about doing Batman Beyond, where you've got the other guy as the Batman, and Batman's an older dude, and that could be Michael Keaton as the
There's
older
the rumor
Batman.
mill of something going on.
That would be dope.
Yeah, for like years now, they've had a rumor of the Batman.
What's his
Beyond.
name? What's Batman Beyond?
Oh,
Guinness or-
yes, something with
Yeah.
Guinness. I can't remember.
I can't think. No, I can't think of his
It's
name.
not Alec Guinness.
Doesn't know. It's not Alec Guinness. No,
It's,
I always think Nigel McGuinness. That's a
Roberto
wrestler.
McGuinness.
Either way, he's
I think he'd be dope.
I think that would be an excellent way to bring Keaton back into the fold and have older Batman without having him having to go through the fight scenes, but have him still be able to do the acting and be the Batman character,
Yeah.
kind of mentor Buddy a little bit.
Yeah.
And you let on, because everybody loves that. That suit's awesome. The black suit with the sharper points
Well,
and
they
the
did the fight
horns
scene in
and the red logo. Like, good character, man. Comic books have been
red
good.
logo.
Isn't that Batman Beyond? Doesn't he have the red?
Oh yes, that's right. He does have the red logo on the
Yeah,
chest, right?
yeah, he's got the red logo on the chest.
That's
Batman
right.
Beyond's
Yeah.
a gangster, bro.
Mhm.
That would be dope. I would be super into that. Red logo, he says.
Right, no,
Oh,
the red logo. But no, he does have a red logo.
The red logo.
The
Yeah,
red logo.
he's
How
got
dare
that.
you.
He's got that somewhere.
I think Batman Beyond would be a pretty cool movie. Take place in the future, be like kind of cyberpunky.
It's not too much more in the future from right now, right? It's. I mean, I don't know if they gave like a real specific year or
Well,
date.
Batman's an old guy.
He's an older guy, but Michael Keaton's an
70.
old man now. They started writing that Batman Beyond shit in the goddamn 90s. But Michael Keaton was almost still Batman.
No, that's definitely true. I think I would like to still see Michael Keaton play Batman. In
I could have
actual
swore I
Batman
had
movie
this
one
guy
more
out
time.
on the table.
Let's see what's his name.
Phil Kershaw.
Philip Kershaw, huh?
Black. There he is. Look at that. See that?
Oh.
If they were watching me,
Found.
it looked like I was like lost for the last probably, I was stuck here 90 seconds where I'm just like, I was talking to you, but I was just like, my body was paralyzed. Like I was having a stroke. Because I'm like going through
Hilarious.
these piles going like, this son of a bitch is on the table somewhere.
Well, yeah,
And I
it's
found
not
it.
most of the table.
You can't hide from me.
But
You can't hide from me. I found
Boom,
you.
found.
I found you. Some of these guys.
Peekaboo.
Right,
Gotcha.
peek-
Gotcha.
Son of a bitch.
Damn.
I got you.
Damn.
So yeah, Beetlejuice lost money.
That's
Lost
real,
money.
anyways. I think
Lost money.
so much money. That franchise lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Warner Bros. Lost a lot of money without Nick Cage as Superman. That would have been cool too.
Right. Yeah.
You know what? Okay, so Nick Cage, people keep on asking, why don't you come back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Come back to the MCU.
Nick Cage.
Yeah.
But he was a terrible Ghost Rider.
But people
You
ask
don't
him,
want him back there. That's not a good place for him.
but do you know what his answer was? to that?
He's not welcome, I would imagine.
No,
That's
no.
probably the answer.
No, he says, I don't need to do it. I'm Nick Cage.
Right, that's true. That's smart. You know what?
I
That's
agree with
probably him defending the fact that he knows that he's not going to do anything but harm if he comes back and he does that. Because it's not healthy to... That's not going to be a crowd that's going to be accepting of his wacky antics. Cage has to be doing stuff where he's a leading man and has kind of some say in the creative approach to things. Because he is a bit of an eccentric.
He's unique.
Right. He's not a bad. It's not like you can't just implement him in the MCU and then let him kind of just like go rogue and do what he wants every shot, because I think it's very systematic. I don't think those approaches to those movies are like where there's a lot of improv. You have guys that have like a lot of creative flexibility.
Yeah.
I think they have a very like ABC structure where you just like say these lines in this context. And Cage is very much someone
Cage's
who I
not
think
like that.
let's like leave the camera rolling for a bit, and he just kind of riffs on
It
it.
just goes with it, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just don't think the MCU crowd would really appreciate him in the same way. I think his best bet is to stick with doing what he does,
I agree.
which is being the leading man in cage-oriented movies where other people come in and they do what he does. Like an Andy Kaufman, or there has been a bunch of people throughout to Pee Wee Herman. You're not going to get the best version of, what's his actual name?
Paul Rubin.
Paul Rubin. You're not going to get the best version of Paul Rubin if you try to take that Pee Wee character and put it into your stuff on your terms.
No.
Pee Wee character needs to be done where Pee Wee is the focal point, and we play to the strengths that Paul Rubin developed as the Pee Wee character. Then you get that best version of Paul Rubin and Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
So you can't really do that unless you're accentuating people's. So Cage is very much an acquired taste.
You gotta let him blossom.
Who's the most eccentric actor they've had, even in the MCU? When we're talking about guys really, like, what, Sam Jackson, Benicio del Toro?
I wouldn't even see those guys. Like, Sam Jackson's not really
But who?
eccentric.
But he's kind of I mean, for the MCU,
Maybe Del Toro
he's
is
a
in
lot
there.
more than fucking Chris Evans
Oh
or
yeah,
Hemsworth
definitely. Yo,
are,
absolutely.
or Paul Rudd or
I couldn't even think maybe he is the most eccentric person.
Benicio del Toro, because he's what, the collector or whatever.
Yeah, I put the collector. I couldn't think of somebody. That
I mean, I'm sure there's some, maybe,
More of it- I like
what's
this
buddy that's the bullshit Mandarin? Kingsley maybe, in the Iron Man, he plays
Oh.
bullshit Mandarin.
King. You think
Ben
Kingsley?
Kingsley's a pretty eccentric guy, like he does,
You think so? You
he's
think
got a
he-
wide range,
I guess so. Yeah.
like super wide range.
Yeah.
Like he plays a lot of stuff,
But Ben Kingsley's
very
not.
theatric.
He is. But Ben Kingsley is not Nick Cage. Ben Kingsley could take you and
No, no,
remind
no.
you he's not
That's
Ben
what I'm
Kingsley.
saying to you. That's what I'm saying
Nick
to you.
Cage cannot do that because
No.
Nick Cage was always in every character.
That's what I'm
he
saying
is
to you.
Nick
You're
Cage.
making my argument.
I am.
He is so
Nick Cage.
unique that he's got one type of vehicle that he can.
And it almost works for everything. Doesn't it?
It does. It's like John Wayne. You're not going to be able to take John Wayne and put John or Elvis. You know, put Elvis in some ensemble. You know how many movies Elvis did? Elvis the Star. It's
Yeah.
Elvis
So-
featuring some. That's what Cage is. He
Absolutely.
is this unique thing that you have to execute but he knows that, I think. I think it's movies like Ghost Rider that kind of woke him up to the idea that he's not.
The second Ghost Rider, he was good in that one, I thought. He acted more crazy in that.
Right, he did,
I
but,
like that.
but it's not suited for Ghost Rider.
You don't think so?
Ghost Rider doesn't act like that. Like, it's not suited for Ghost Rider. Cage has done a lot of other good movies, but you have to let Cage come in, I think, with a lot of say involved. Because then he's feeling it and can really like put it together rather than you giving it to him and him like disseminating it. He's not very good as like a messenger where you just give him information and he's like, here's the dialogue. He's a lot better when he's on board of the actual production and he's like, I love this character. I would love to play this character. I love this script, because then he kind of like embodies it. He becomes, like you said, he becomes that crazy thing.
He does.
But he becomes it in a way that seems kind of organic. It's ridiculous, but it's organic. He's not playing with us.
No, that's
He is he's gnarly.
that's just his performance.
He's super hit or miss, but gnarly nonetheless. Love Nick Cage.
Oh, dude.
No bullshit. I'll take all the smoke from people who want to be like, Nick Cage, he's garbage. Like, you're garbage.
Right.
You're absolute garbage.
Whoever disagrees
I
with
talked to
that-
your mom, and your mom told me you're garbage. That
She even signed it.
that
a
she
letter.
regrets you.
Notarized.
Right.
Garbage.
She wrote it on my balls.
He's got donkey brains too.
Yeah. So like, fucking Nick Cage is great.
He is. He's a national treasure, I would say.
He's amazing.
Has to protect it
He's
at all
hilarious.
costs, at all costs.
People can't you can't quantify the level of entertainment that he's brought to the lives of so many people until you stop and like really look at it and realize how many things you know him from, that everybody knows him from, And there's so much of it that you know him from because it was entertaining at the time you watched it. Whether it's corny now is another conversation. But he is an evolving organism. He is not like like you said, Ben Kingsley can act like you don't know it's Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley's a great actor.
He is.
There's no question about that.
He's
Great
doing a lot of
actor.
things.
Nicolas Cage is like, he gets like possessed sometimes. Where his shit is not acting. It doesn't seem like he's like, where you're like, damn, dude, this guy's lost his ever-loving fucking mother.
This is 100% authentic Nick Cage right here in this moment.
Psycho.
Unbridled Nick Cage.
Unbridled Nick Cage, right.
Right, no, that's very true.
Nick Cage raw.
Oh, I would go see that.
Well,
Nick
I
Cage
think
raw.
we've seen it a few times in a few movies. I think Cage has kind of gone above and beyond past where a lot of people, look at these cards are starting to like encompass. You ever seen that Tales from?
Little
Ever seen that
claustrophobic here.
Creep Show? Not Tales from the Crypt. You ever seen the Creep Show movies?
Yeah.
Like all the anthologies from the 80s. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Like the Stephen
Kevin
King, which I don't
Newshow.
like Stephen King, but like that's what this is. Like where the like comet lands.
I
And
know
he
the
goes
mom.
out into the backyard and he touches it and it burns his fingertips. And then, over the course of days, the moss starts to grow and grow until it like overtakes him entirely. Some sort of like moss from another
man.
planet. Right.
I wonder if
Except no He-Man, no Tila.
You don't get no superpowers from that.
No, there was no Eternia, no She-Ra, no Skeletor.
No.
Just moss. Just Stephen King, who I don't really like either.
He could have turned into boss.
He could have turned it. Yeah, I was fine with him dying.
Right,
it was
right.
scary as a kid, though.
Nice.
That's like what's happening with the hockey rookies, though.
is.
Kind of slowly just being encompassed like a hoarder,
Getting sucked
going to be
in.
overtaken.
Do you know that Creep Show has a new show? Well, it's actually just been out for a little bit. I think they have like 3 seasons. So on,
When you say Creep Show, those people are probably not even alive anymore that did that.
no,
4
it's a
years
new
ago.
show. It's a new show. It's on Stutter or Shudder.
You using the name, but probably not the same people.
No, it's like, okay, so you know the comic book, it's like Creep
Right,
Show.
yeah.
So it has like, it's kind of like Tales from the Crypt. It has like the Creep Show guy, like gives you your ticket. He opens a book,
Yeah.
tells you time.
Yeah, I know.
So like, it has nothing to do with like the original movies or anything.
Oh, okay, just
So
a
it's
brand,
just a
right?
reimagining
That's cool.
of it's done pretty good. I've watched a couple things when I had like, it was like a free month of Shudder. So I binge watched some Creep Show. It was
Nice.
pretty good.
That's not too bad. What's Shudder?
It's like a horror streaming service. It's very cheap. It's like, up here in Canada, it's like $6 a month, and you get access to multiple originals, old, modern, vintage, all types of horror movies, ghosts, zombies, supernatural.
Right on.
It's good if you like horrors. I would definitely go check it out. If you like comic books, come check out bigmoviecomics.com.
Right, plug that
Action
bitch.
figures,
Give them a
sports
plug.
cards,
That's a good one.
Slabs and raw books.
Hand jobs.
Give it to you raw.
We'll give it to the hand. Yeah, raw hand jobs.
Why not?
Spit on it. That's an extra $5.
Now the first one's
Work
a
up a
courtesy
good
win.
phlegmy one
We'll
and
give you a
just-
first courtesy spit on
First
the house.
courtesy spits on the house. You're hearing it come. This idea's coming together on the fly here.
That's not most of our ideas. Coming
I
together
sure
on the
hope
fly.
nobody holds us to this.
No, well,
I'm gonna be really upset when people call and they're like, "I heard that deal that you were offering."
I have the deal for the 100 likes. I'll punch myself in the dick.
I'm
for
gonna-
60 seconds on
yeah.
some shorts. If you get 100 likes, remember, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Well, that's the first one. So
I wouldn't say most people would be gentlemen if they were.
I'm going to call them.
They were
ladies and gentlemen.
encouraging the behavior of you having to punch yourself in the cock repeatedly.
You know what? It doesn't matter what the audience is. I think what any venue I was at, I'd always call them ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you think so? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Even if it was on my trial, I was up for like 3rd-degree murder. I would call the court, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
So we were talking earlier about basketball. I'm gonna stop you on your bullshit because nobody gives a fuck. Let's talk a little football. So we said last week, Bears, Justin Fields. Is Justin Fields the number 1 quarterback? Is this gonna be when Justin Fields finally gets taken seriously by Chicago and they say, no, we're all in, we're going to do something in the draft, we're going to do something in free agency, we're going to get you some weapons, because there's nothing there in Chicago. There's nothing to help this kid, there's nothing to keep him upright, there's barely a defense, It's a team that's been run poorly for a long time. Like basically a generation ago, they fluked into Urlacher. It was luck. This is not a Bears team that can almost even be taken seriously in the NFC North because they don't do enough to try to be taken seriously. It's humiliating.
Why did they do better? Do better.
Right. So they could do better. So they traded that pick. So I guess they're all in on Fields because they traded the pick to Carolina. They traded him for the 9th overall pick. So Carolina, obviously moving into first. We're going to talk about that in a second. But Chicago, 9th overall pick, grabs Carolina's 61st overall pick. So end of the second round. Second round ends at 64. So grabs 61. End of the second round. So that's another second rounder. Obviously all in on Fields. Gets a first rounder next year from Carolina, who if Carolina even drafted the best quarterback of all time, first overall, there's nothing else on that team that's going to help that kid become a playoff. So they're going to be an 8-9 team next year or something. He's dying, everybody. We've lost him. It's a fucking sad thing. I was almost done doling out the hockey cards too, and you died. You didn't even get to see the prosperity from all our hard work.
There's no X's yet, so I'm good.
So it's and then so they got the first rounder next year. It's probably going to be a decent one. Like I said, Carolina probably not going to turn it around completely, so it's going to be a decent at best season in Carolina. Chicago's going to get that draft pick. Chicago's also going to get their second round of the year after that. Chicago loaded up to move down 8 spots. Obviously not looking for a quarterback. Obviously all in on Justin Fields. And they got DJ Moore in the trade. So DJ Moore, big time receiver, 3 times over 1,100 yards receiving. Last year, not so much, still young, like 26. Kid's got a lot of potential. You give Justin Fields something. 9th overall draft pick this year, potentially could still get you the number 1 receiver off the board in Jigba. I can't remember Buddy's name. It's a difficult one. But there's not a lot of receivers. It's not a receiver deep draft. But you could easily get the number 1 guy with the 9th overall pick, put 2 guys around Fields, and all of a sudden now a quarterback that you clearly believe in the system that you've got. And you've got picks for the future in case things go sideways. There are picks for 2. You got your first rounder and Carolina's first rounder next year, just in case you need a quarterback next year because Fields doesn't work. You got DJ Moore on a decent contract, who's a good player, who's durable, plays every game, almost every season. Good hands, strong on the ball, gives Fields something to let a little of the pressure off so Fields doesn't feel like he's doing it all himself in Chicago. Chicago actually made a good move. I don't like the Bears organization. They always seem to fumble the ball. They're kind of a laughable sort of a team who always get like one thing right and do 2 things wrong and then get 100 likes and punch themselves in the dick. Like it always seems to be that move. And this actually seemed like a really smart move. And I would think equally as smart would be Carolina on the other end. I think they didn't give up too much. I think if they think DJ Moore is a little couple years already into that prime of his career, into the thick of it, if he's not going to be a guy who plays till 36, he's going to play till like 32. They see maybe a little bit of the edge coming off of him because he's already got 4 or 5 years in the NFL as a number 1 receiver. He's been a number 1 basically the whole time in Carolina. Right? They had Robbie Anderson, his first season. So, like, he's had a lot of load on him. He might be wearing down a little bit because they ask a lot of him. Carolina might see that. Carolina might also see a quarterback that they can't live without because there's 3-4 quarterbacks in the top 10 of this draft. CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis. There's a lot of quarterback talent early on. And the Carolina Panthers have tried with a few guys recently. Bridgewater, Darnold, brought in some dude, right, last year. But, like, who cares about these other dudes? Like, nothing is going to amount to being able to take the number 1 overall guy in a draft class where it's stacked, where it's full of quarterback potential. All of a sudden now you're talking about if you're willing to take that leap, if you're willing to move up and you're willing to pull the trigger, you might find yourself a generational talent. Because, like I said, last year, only Kenny Pickett went in the first round. And then there wasn't a quarterback gone until like round 3 or 4. So for 4 to be in the top 10 picks, potentially, and most likely, if you can see something in Stroud, Bryce Young, I mean, I personally, like I said, coming out of the combine, I like Anthony Richardson. How do you think Houston feels now? Houston needs a quarterback because Houston's not going to ride with Davis Mills. Houston needs a quarterback. They're not comfortable letting Mills try to captain this ship going into another season where Houston is just one of the bottom feeders of the league.
Abandon him.
But they
Kick him off.
won, but they won't, but he's just not the guy. Mills was drafted, 3rd, 4th round. Like he was in a quarterback heavy class a few years ago with Lawrence and Trey Lance and all those guys. But he was drafted more where Kellen Mond and those guys were drafted, middle of the pack, right? But they don't expect him to be able to carry a franchise load. Maybe be a good backup quarterback, a career backup, maybe good clipboard holder.
Still get paid decent.
Good dude. It's not a bad salary that you're making being a backup in the NFL as a quarterback.
No.
So anyways, Houston could have been that 1st overall pick, but they won in the last week of the season at the end of the year last year to move themselves in the 2nd. And they probably thought at one point that they were still going to get the first quarterback off the board because the Bears were going to take some defensive player or they're going to take some edge rusher, they're going to take some defense. But no, now the Bears have traded to Carolina. It's obvious that Carolina is taking a quarterback, and now Houston gets the 2nd quarterback, the leftover.
Oh wow, it's the leftover.
So it's going to be. They're not getting first selection because up until a day ago, if the Bears would have went 1st overall, let's say a deal never would have came through that was sufficient, or the Bears didn't believe in Justin Fields 100% to where they were like, let's build around him. If they thought like, let's just keep trying to build the defense out, let's try to, do the things that we think for the next couple of years in case we have to draft a quarterback in the 1st round next year, or whatever it happens to be, they might not have made that move. Then Houston might have had 1st pick of Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, but now they don't. Because now Carolina easily is going to be taking. They have a month and a half to like mid-April here, a month at least, where they're cruising into the draft, know exactly what they want to do. They just need to pay attention to 2 players, 3 players. That's it. They don't need to do anything else. They just need to get this right. If they get this right, the franchise altering.
That seems pretty easy.
Houston could have been there.
3 players.
That's it. You don't have to look at anything else in the draft.
I think they're going to blow that.
Who cares?
They're probably going to blow it.
They hit it with Cam Newton when they drafted 1st overall before.
Well, it sounds like a pretty good hit, right? You said Cam Newton.
Newton was good. Cam Newton, he says.
Newton.
Right, Newton. Cam, like Fig Newton. Delicious. He sounds fucking delicious. So yeah.
How did you know my mind went there?
Right.
Sounds so delicious.
What a delicious sounding football player this Fig Newton sounds like. So yeah, no, they did it with Cam Newton. I mean, you can get guys 1st overall, definitely. I mean, that's where the Peyton Mannings of the world come from. I mean, obviously Patrick Mahomes didn't go 1st overall. Brady was a late round, but I mean, you still, when you get the pick of the litter, if you think you know what you're doing, there's no one you can blame but yourself if it doesn't go through. But at least you get the opportunity to say, like, you had every opportunity to say yes or no to this guy or that guy. So when you're going to go 1st, that's a pretty nice problem to have. To say, look, our franchise is all in, obviously, on this coaching staff, on this management, because they wouldn't give you this much leverage into the future this year if they thought that they might fire you at the end of the season. They clearly believe in you being here for the rebuild. So like Frank Wright and all the guys in Carolina, like they obviously believe in Frank Wright. So they are going to see this through, and they're going to pick whoever they think is best. And it's going to leave Houston picking 2nd for quarterbacks. And it's now kind of opened up the meat of that top 10. Because Houston's going to go 2nd, take a quarterback too. Now you got 2 quarterbacks off the board from the 2 teams, but people were projecting a defensive player gone early. And now those teams that might be on the fence about a quarterback this year or not, if a guy would have fell to them, maybe they would have grabbed. Now all of a sudden, these extra defensive players that were supposed to go to Chicago and stuff early on in the draft are available. You get, you might see a quarterback fall. You might see Will Levis fall to 12 or 15, or we've seen that before where guys are supposed to be high. They turn out to not end up going as high. Kaprizov again.
Right, they lose their studliness.
Something goes on, right? Like where a few things get reshuffled, the deck chairs get reshuffled, and all of a sudden the teams that would be looking for your type of services specifically don't have you scouted as high as a player at a different position that they feel like that's a good way to shore that position up, and all of a sudden you take a bit of a tumble. I mean, isn't that how Aaron Rodgers ended up in Green Bay? Wasn't Aaron Rodgers the guy that ended up on that Alex Smith draft in 2004 where Rodgers sat? He was supposed to be potentially number 1 overall in that Alex Smith draft in 2004, I want to say it was. Coming out of Cal, and he ended up going 22nd or 24th to the Green Bay Packers. He sat there most of the night. Everybody else that they brought in for the NFL Network thing had gone in the top 10. All those guys were gone already out of the green room. He's the only guy sitting there holding his dick. He looked humiliated as fuck. But that could happen because once the guys with the needs kind of get passed by, there's a lot of other teams that maybe they don't see a quarterback as their big overarching issue. Because you've got teams like the Saints now who, at one point in time, a week ago, before Derek Carr was there, you would have said the New Orleans Saints, one of their big issues was quarterback. Now, Derek Carr signed, lock, stock, smoke and barrel. Derek Carr is still young, got a lot of talent, put up a lot of yards, isn't the most dynamic quarterback, might not be able to pull through in the punch, but maybe that was more a Raiders thing. Or maybe that was more Raiders culture. So now maybe in New Orleans, Derek Carr shows up and lays a little pipe down in the NFC South, which is a really tough division, especially now that Brady's gone. Carolina's going to draft, like I said, 1st overall, but that quarterback's not going to come in and win you 12 games in his first year. Falcons have nobody. Brady retired again. So, I mean, you never know what might happen.
He's coming out of retirement, I bet you.
Who is? Brady? You think so?
I
again?
I bet you.
I don't think he's going to come out of retirement again. No, I don't think so.
For 100 legs, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll punch myself in the dick. So yeah, but that's Bears Panthers. That's a big ass trade, man. That's a big trade that I don't think a lot of people really saw coming, especially this early. We're not even at free agency yet, but clearly the Panthers wanted to get it done. They didn't want to take any chances. They didn't want to take the chance that some other team slid into the Bears DMs and was yo, we'll do this. How do you want to do this?
Yeah, some of those picks.
Right. They didn't want to take that chance. They were no. Look, if we're going to make a move, whether they have got an idea for a quarterback right this minute and they just don't want to tip their hand and tell everybody who that quarterback is, or if they just want to make sure that they have the opportunity to pick first, they don't want anybody else taking a guy. They feel like now they've got themselves a month of runway where they can evaluate guys before they have to make a choice, but they've got the right of refusal on everyone rather than having to settle for whatever's left over. Either way, they better do something with it because it's a big move. But it was a smart move, I think, on both franchises' parts. I can see where they're both going. That's a big deal, I think, with a trade. Sometimes you see some trades and you're like, what the fuck was that? You don't understand. But I get the trajectory of both franchises. Chicago is more well-defined now that they've made this move, despite the fact that only brought in DJ Moore, because they really exemplify that they really aren't just blowing smoke up everybody's ass about Justin Fields. They really are all in on Justin Fields. They've brought him in a weapon. They've moved to the 1st where they could have drafted a quarterback. They clearly are just saying to people, we don't need a quarterback. We're happy moving to 9th, where we could very easily still get that 1st receiver off the board.
So you think it's their plan to do that?
I think that was the right move. Yeah, I think that was a bit of signaling to their own quarterback that they're all in on homeboy Logan Thompson, rookie card, Vegas Golden Knights, goaltender. Thompson's beast, bro. I think that was a bit of virtue signaling to him. For real, it was. Because I think they want to let him know, yo, we really are down with you. Watch, we'll just step right out of this spot. We don't need it. There's no guy that's going to help our team right now. The way we're going to define helping our team is by helping you, our number 1 quarterback, our quarterback that we believe in wholeheartedly. That's how we're going to help you. That's how we're going to help this team. And that's, I think, what they spoke volumes of by doing that move, where they were just like, you know, time to move out of this. Time to move out of this spot. We can get real assets for now and in the future. Not just DJ Moore, but a bunch of draft picks for a spot that we don't covet near as much as other teams covet. And now Carolina's going to take a quarterback number 1. Houston's going to go number 2. And from there, it all breaks down, because I've even heard Seattle at 5 and stuff are interested in quarterbacks despite signing Geno Smith. And there's not that many quarterbacks to go around. And I'm not sure everybody's going to feel the same about Will Levis and Anthony Richardson that they do about Stroud and Bryce Young, where it's almost a no-brainer. Like, Houston's not going to have a problem taking who's left over. Like, they're going to have to fall in love with Richardson or in love with Levis to not take whoever's left over from Stroud or Young, right? If Young goes first, they'll take CJ Stroud second. If CJ Stroud goes first, they'll take Bryce Young second. They're going to have to fall, like, dramatically in love, because as of right now, there's definitely
dramatically in love with these guys.
They're going to have to, if they're going to take them over and above those other 2, because those 2 do seem pretty set. Despite how good Anthony Richardson's combine was, the attention it drew, the skill set that Buddy has. Like, he's got an amazing array of football skills, but clearly the sentiment still remains among, like, scouts and analysts that Stroud and Young are still, like, and they're a notch above in pedigree. Whereas Richardson is, and Richardson, like I said, is the guy that I like the best. His scouting combine, to me, his passing drills look fucking impeccable. Dude was a sharpshooter. It looked like goddamn Hawkeye pitching it out there. So, like, it was some business.
It's amazing how, like, some of those guys
dude looked, yeah, and some of the other guys didn't look as impressive as him, especially when compared directly side by side to him. I noticed, like, dramatic differences, but that's maybe just me. I haven't seen the body of work that a talent scout or the NFL quarterback scout would have seen if they would have watched every Ohio State game, every Florida game, where you're watching every one of these games, every Alabama game, where guys are playing in front of you every game. I watched the combine and I listened to people talk, but Richardson's combine looked extremely good. And I think it did him a lot of help in the draft process, but I still think Houston would have to fall dramatically in love with him to not take the odd man out from Young or Stroud based on whoever Carolina takes first.
I don't know how scouts was. Scouts just scout, like, they stay on one guy. They don't jump back and forth.
Unless Houston gets Lamar, right? So what were you saying? Sorry.
Oh, no. Scouts stay on that one, like, scouts scout a guy for a while. Right? It's not like they jump back and forth.
Oh, no, you would put in a whole body of work, get a dossier like the FBI, right? Like, you're trying to break a guy down, like...
It's not just like, oh, yeah, this guy's playing
down
good
to
right
if
now.
He's got, like, some sort of wonky leg or a saggy butt or, you know, like, fucking droopy eye or bad attitude or smelly or...
So they're doing
dirty,
like deep profile.
They're doing deep profiles, right? Like, they're trying to figure out your character. Like, they're trying to figure out if you're going to be a knucklehead or a nincompoop if we give you a bunch of money. We can't just, you know, like, we can't bring you into the fold and adorn you with our brand that we protect so great. Not just the brand of the team, but the brand of the NFL.
Right,
waste a valuable draft pick on you and then have you be some dork who can't play by societal norms just so that we can get through this together and you potentially make a good living in the NFL or NBA or whatever it happens to be, and we hopefully win a championship or perform at least up to par with what our fans feel like they pay for, because fans put in a lot of attention and all that. So you don't want to draft douchebags. So that the drafting process, just like the free agency process, has a lot of interviewing and character thought going into it, where guys are having, you know, discussions behind the scenes about, does this guy seem like a human being we'd like to be in business with, representing our business at the highest of levels that we're paying exorbitant amount of money or allocating heavy in this draft case, a lot of heavy resources to if you're drafting a guy high up, right? So scouts have a lot of work, because you're going to then go present that to the top of your management and say, like, I rest my reputation on taking this guy. and then that guy starts showing his dick to everybody, because we've had that recently, right?
We have, yes.
We've had so many guys.
Not us personally.
No,
but
not us. We showed our dick to each other.
All the time.
All the time. Right, but this is consent.
Calms us down.
This is consent. Right. That's
consent. That's how we like it.
This is right. Yeah, no, that's our little wing nod agreement. So yeah, I would scouts are important, dude. Scouts got a lot on their plate. Because the future of the franchise rests on a good scouting group, scouting division of your franchise, because you're resting a lot of future assets, draft picks, on picking guys that you're hoping pan out in the grand scheme of things. And if they don't, that could set your franchise back years and years. Yeah. And you don't want to be a part of that by any stretch.
You're a pro speculator.
You are, but that's why you make the fat dossier, and you find out if guys have a propensity to want to beat their wives or any of that other bad stuff. Well, you do. You're not even sure if things change over time, and someone's been good people for a long time.
But money changes it. Right?
Or if someone was an immature little child and they've got a little bit on their record, but in reality they've learned their lesson. I've seen that a bunch of times too. Yeah. So there's been both sides of the coin, but you don't know. So as a scout, you're trying to take your best evaluation and put your seal of approval on it. So yeah, scouts have a lot to do, but there's not going to be a lot of scouting needed if Houston just takes Lamar Jackson off of Baltimore's hands. Because Lamar's up. They franchise tagged him now. There's no way that Lamar is going to want to remain in Baltimore, the way that Baltimore is kind of treated him like he's almost discardable, or they're challenging him. They're challenging him to go out on the free market. They're giving him a non-exclusive 2 fucking first rounders is the matching or is the compensation. So they have the opportunity to match. If they don't match, they get the compensation. The money gets held in escrow for the matching period. So there's that, which we've got that as a bit of a predicament because free agency's coming up. But if you got $200 million held in escrow for a Lamar Jackson deal you signed with him, where you got a contract to work and he agreed to it, but this money's held in escrow and then free agency starts, well, you can't then allocate that money to a free agent. But then let's say Baltimore matches your contract. Well, you don't get Lamar Jackson then. You just get that money back out of escrow. Because all you did was put the money on hold until the contract was either where Baltimore said we're not matching it, or Baltimore matched it, which most teams are going to drag it out. And then you're still going to pay. So, it's a precarious situation to be in, but Lamar is an MVP only a few years ago.
So he's leaving Baltimore.
I don't imagine he's going to stay. I don't think he's going to sign this franchise tag. I know they franchised him, but I don't think he's going to sign it. Other teams have franchised guys. The Raiders have franchised Josh Jacobs because they didn't pick up his 5th-year option off his rookie deal, and rightfully so. He should sign that franchise tag. He's going to get a nice paycheck for having one really good season as a running back in Oakland or in Las Vegas now. He's been there for a while. It hasn't really panned out, but he had a really good season last year, led the league in rushing. Sign that franchise tag, prove it, get yourself a paycheck next year. Saquon Barkley, a couple of years with injuries. Same thing, a little earlier draft class than Josh Jacobs. But, Saquon, he hasn't been as consistent as we'd like to see as far as staying on the field. Had a good season last year. Helped Daniel Jones and the Giants make the playoffs in a season where I don't think anybody thought the New York Giants were going to make the playoffs. But Saquon take the franchise tag. Evan Ingram apparently franchise tagged in Jacksonville. A lot of other guys getting franchise tagged that should be tagged. Lamar shouldn't be tagged. It's kind of insulting. The guy wants guaranteed money. He won an MVP for you. He's the guy that you game plan to rush the ball, to stand in a pocket that's not near as sturdy as pockets that guys like Mahomes or Brady are used to. So, you're putting a guy who's an all-world caliber quarterback who already in a very short career has won you an MVP and proven that when he's on the field, he is one of the top 5 people in the world at it. He wants guaranteed money, you franchise tag him because you're trying to drag this out. Still, this contract should have been signed 2 years ago. I don't think he's ever coming back to Baltimore, personally. Houston could get in there. Then you're not taking a guy second. Then you're not taking the Bryce Young or CJ Stroud option, whoever's left. then you're getting right out of the quarterback market and absolving yourself of that issue of having to take what's going to ostensibly always going to be looked at as the leftovers.
Yeah, I don't want to take leftovers.
Because Lamar's not leftovers. He just is so far off from Baltimore on a deal. Because Lamar's his own agent. He doesn't have an agent. Him and his mom run. So, I mean, it's very difficult for him to have the relationships with other teams without there being collusion. But because he's his own agent, he doesn't have that. So it's difficult for him to go on the free market and negotiate with other teams because he doesn't have relationships with them. Whereas a sports agent has relationships with all 32 teams in the NFL because he wheels and deals for all guys. So he's talked to all GMs, all presidents, all coaches, all this, all that. He knows guys in every locker room. Lamar is still segregated to that Baltimore Ravens locker room. He might know players on other teams. He might know of guys. Yeah. But he's not an agent for anyone other than himself, so it's difficult to agent his own deal. Now, he does have the leverage of being an all-world talent, but is that going to be transferable into seasons that don't have injuries? Because the last 2 years, he has not been able to finish out the season. And not being able to finish out the season and wanting $200+ million in guaranteed money, just like a Deshaun Watson contract in Cleveland, which is an absolute albatross contract, one that no other fucking owner in the NFL wants to grandfather in as the norm for contracts, quarterback or otherwise. They want to treat that Deshaun Watson contract in Cleveland as if that's a complete mistake and an albatross, where they're just like, oh, don't set your sails to that because we're not meeting that. But Lamar's going for something very, very similar. But he has a better case than Deshaun Watson does. Deshaun Watson has no MVPs. There's no MVP votes, for fuck's sake, let alone an MVP.
I wonder if him being a free agent, Lamar Jackson, has hurt his, like you were saying, because he's not...
Well, he's kind of a free agent, right? Franchise tag. So he's...
Right.
Anything that anybody offers him that he agrees to, the Baltimore gets compensation, or he has to sign the franchise tag and play, or he could sit out. But I don't know if sitting out makes his case. But I don't know he's gonna hate your fucking franchise. Just trade a guy that doesn't want to be there. If you guys can't come to a deal, trade the guy that doesn't want to be Houston.
Right.
Get in on that. Pay that man $200 million. Because let's say, we talked about this I think last week, but let's just say really quickly that those injuries from the last 2 years were freak injuries because you were overusing them. You just have too many miles on the guy rushing the ball because he's an excellent thrower. He doesn't have to be doing all this mobile work as well. But let's just say it's just a little bit too many miles on him. He got caught a couple times, rolled up, got hurt, da-da-da-da-da. If that's not a continuing issue, he can be a pocket quarterback for the duration of his 30s. The guy's 23 years old, 24 years old. He's still a phenomenal throwing quarterback. He doesn't need to be every different facet of your offense like he has been in Baltimore, where they put nothing around him and he's still as good as he is. If, on the other hand, those 2 seasons were him kind of pouting and not playing out the seasons because he doesn't have guaranteed money, and that's a character thing, then I would be hesitant. But how will we ever know? How will you know if that's why he did it? He's not going to tell you. So you have to just assume he's a competitive athlete at the top level. He was probably hurt, was legitimately hurt. And in that case, if it's just Lamar was a little bit hurt, but I still know if I don't need him to run for 1,000 yards a season, we can't, because he'll be hurt by the time he hits 600 yards. If you put that kind of load on him, he just will. Let him be the pocket passer that he's very capable of being. Put some weapons around him, like Chicago did with TJ Moore and Justin Fields. And I would put Lamar Jackson in a $200 million contract.
To protect his ass. Let him just stay in his line.
And put him in that money. Put him in Houston, Atlanta. Give up those first-round draft picks. Get him out of Baltimore.
Get rid of him.
Baltimore clearly doesn't understand what the hell they have. They don't want to pay him. They're cheap. They're thinking that this kind of stuff comes along all the time. As a Bills fan who we have Josh, I would trade Josh. Okay, hot take of the day.
Oh,
I thought about this yesterday if I was even going to mention this. I'll just say this. Bills fans that are watching this that might hate my guts, just fucking tough. I would trade Josh Allen straight up and down for Lamar Jackson and guarantee him the $200 million over 4 years he wants. I know Bills fans are probably having a heart because Bills fans, They think that Josh Allen is Steve Young, where Josh Allen is more of a fumble fuck than Steve Young or Brett Favre ever were. Josh Allen looks like Brett Favre in his later years. He doesn't look like Brett Favre in his prime when all the bounces went his way. Josh Allen is a guy who gets flustered, and it does. I would trade him straight up. He's got like the 5th or 6th biggest contract in the league. Signed him 6 more years, but it's like $39 million or something. Cheaper than Lamar wants. It's cheaper than Lamar wants. He's still a top MVP candidate quarterback. I'll do it. You've had it 2 years in a row. You've been injured at the end of the season.
Sounds like a good deal.
I'll do it, bro.
Sounds like an excellent
because
deal.
I think you can make a lot more headway. I think Stephon Diggs would be happier if Josh was gone. I'd be happier.
Oh,
But take it as a Bills fan. Take it as a Bills fan. If you're taking for granted how good Lamar Jackson is, it's so difficult to get franchise quarterbacks that you have that, and the fact that you can't just get a deal done with this guy just shows how much you either don't care what the fans have to go through during rebuilds that take years and years and sometimes have false starts 3 or 4 times and you end up in a 15-year rebuild, or you're too stupid to be running a franchise because you've got a quarterback that you should just pay and be happy that you have a guy with that talent and stop asking him to run for 1,000 projected rushing yards every year. He's on a running back. Pare that back, let him run when he needs to, but for the most part, he can handle most things with just the threat of running. And on top of that, a cannon for an arm that's super accurate. He didn't win MVP because he can jog well. That's just a nice addition.
Skill.
That's a nice addition, but it's not the A1. But Baltimore is stupid. So Lamar is going to be gone and going to go somewhere. So franchise, 2 first-rounders coming back wherever he ends up going as compensation and a big contract they're going to have to put out for him, obviously. But Houston, now that Carolina's moved up, I would imagine maybe because Arizona, it sounds like the Jets are going to have Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we'll talk about that maybe tomorrow because we'll see how that plays out even this evening. By the time we're done here, it's been like 4 hours. By the time we're done here, Aaron Rodgers might already be a Jet. So we'll just wait. Well, it's been playing out for a few days, so there's been a lot of, and it seems like, shoes are dropping, right?
Shoes are dropping.
Well, I mean, Bears made that trade for the 9th pick to move Carolina up to 1st. I think everybody knows Carolina's going to take a fucking quarterback 1st overall. That's a quarterback off the board, but it tells you where Carolina's going. They're not going to free agency. They're not looking to make a Lamar Jackson trade. They're not going any of those directions. They're going to the right. Whereas like New Orleans, we see they went all in on David Carr, became a free agent early because he was released by the Raiders. It's like they went in on some veteran, but we still know there's a grip of teams that could use quarterbacks. So as shoes starting to drop, there's probably no time like the present to get off the snide and execute on something if you're not waiting for the draft, right? If you'd rather do this before free agency, get it done, make these real massive franchise-altering moves, because quarterback is a franchise-altering move. Make them now and go into free agency knowing that the biggest glaring hole, at least in that GM's eyes, at least in that franchise's eyes, has now been handled. Because you can never tell. Some franchises, it seems like they everything's copacetic. Like, oh, they're good, they like it the way it is, and then all of a sudden they make some big shift, and you're like, well, apparently, behind closed doors, they weren't as near as comfortable in the long term, or an opportunity came up that they thought that opportunity was too good to pass on. That's that. I'm leaving.
That's that.
I'm leaving.
So you think Lamar Jackson's going to leave Baltimore? You don't think they're going to send him a sweet deal?
I'm leaving Baltimore.
All right, Baltimore.
Bye.
Peace.
We gotta pee again. Been holding it. I put the paper towel under my coffee. Oh, see?
I knocked over my drink on the floor.
Did you knock any liquid?
Nope.
Oh,
No
see,
liquid,
I did it on
no.
mine. I put the paper towel under
I
mine
got my Gilmore Girls cup.
because I warned you about not knocking yours
did.
over, and
You
then
just did.
I knocked mine over, and so this paper towel here designates that I'm a fucking idiot.
Well, it
So
doesn't designate
but
that.
you almost came right back around full circle to where I'm at.
I've got pterodactyl feet, my friend.
You are.
They kinda
you're a
just go off.
You're a klutz fuck. You just.
No, I definitely have. Definitely.
You are. It's.
I want to talk about something really cool.
You're in peril when it comes to just smashing into the. But like, I ran my mouth. I told you upstairs. I was like, "Oh, careful, careful."
You filled it up too high.
Right, I did say that. And then as soon as I got downstairs, I spilled it. And I was like, "Ew."
I just come walking down the stairs, and the first thing he says is, "I spilled it."
I was in shame. Right.
Yeah.
I was in shame. I figured the best thing to do was just divulge my failures immediately because I was humiliated. So I'll stop trying to be your dad and keep my bad advice that doesn't pan out into shit all.
Right, point and laugh
to myself.
when I spill it. That's all you got to do.
Right, or in this case, when I spill it.
Either or, right. Tomato.
Stupid coffee.
Well, it's not stupid, it's delicious.
What did you say you wanted to talk about?
Oh.
How was your week?
Oh, my week was excellent.
Monday.
Oh, it was excellent. Just surfing the news, surfing the YouTube, getting
That's
stuff
what you did.
done. Yeah,
Surf.
well, did a bunch of stuff.
You got a lot of YouTube videos put up. Shout out Big
I
Beaver
did,
Comics,
yeah,
Big Beaver Cards, YouTube.
Check out
I don't know.
everything.
Somebody maybe on this one they probably are watching. That's where they would be. Watching.
Either or, I don't know.
Over here on the Facebook though.
Yeah, we got a couple things recorded right now. But I don't know if you've noticed or seen this. I like video games, but there was a RoboCop trailer that was just put out. It's called RoboCop Rogue City, and it's a first-person shooter. So you actually take the reins of RoboCop. The trailer opens up just like the first movie. He rolls up in the cop car. Cop door opens, and out comes Lieutenant Murphy, and it's Peter Weller. Because he
does does he do the voice,
likeness, face, everything?
Really?
Takes off the helmet, and it's Peter Weller. It was amazing. Anyways, it goes into it. There's a little investigations you do leading up to like an arrest or whatever it happens to be. But he goes into a bar and he just starts blowing everybody away, like RoboCop style. He has like
That's dope.
He has the signature like flip your gun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All that's in there. Like bullet time. There's two different ways
That's
you can
crazy.
play it. The way RoboCop would see it.
Sorry. You said it was open world?
Yes, open world. Like I played their last game.
Like MMO open world or like first person Breath of the Wild open world?
Yeah, like that. Single player.
That's still really cool.
Right?
So like Grand Theft Auto open world.
I think it's something to be along those lines. I played their previous game, Terminator Resistance, which is really good based off the 84 like Terminator game.
So this company like crushes these like throwback nostalgia games.
Their first game wasn't so good. It was a Rambo game, but it was on the rails.
Shit the bed.
Yeah,
Rambo.
they shit the bed because it's on
I guess
the rails.
They clearly sound like they've learned a lot.
Learned a lot, definitely. From Terminator Resistance, they have maps that are open world, open-based maps. So I imagine it'd be something along those like lines about different places of Detroit, old Detroit City or whatever. Or maybe it is one giant open world. I don't know yet. They only showed a 50-second like trailer of gameplay.
Oh, so this is a few years in the future.
September. No, September it comes out.
What? Really?
It comes out this September. So it was announced like a year ago. And all they had was like the RoboCop. It showed like Alex Murphy without the helmet on. And it showed Peter Weller. And he said something like, "I'm back," or something like that.
Because didn't we talk about this last week, like the sort of sidetrack? We talked about this last week with Michael Keaton and the 89 Batman. And how that's still the best Batman. And that's the one where when they put it into stuff, that everybody kind of flocks to it and everybody wants a revamp of because how good it is.
Yeah.
So here's another example of that.
It looks really good. Like I said, they only put out a 50-minute or a 50-second trailer, not a 50-minute. But what they showed is him walking down, going into the bar, blowing some people away, RoboCop style, really gruesome.
They showed the important stuff.
Just the very important stuff.
They showed actual Murphy.
Actual Murphy. So it looks
they showed real shooting and the violence that like really encapsulates the first RoboCop.
Yeah.
With the OCP.
Yeah. It takes place like in the like late 80s, early 90s because you can tell by the set pieces, the cars and everything are still
like dystopian era. Late 80s, early 90s.
Right. No, just like OCP, just like the original RoboCop.
Because that wasn't late 80s, early 90s. It was very dystopian at the same time, right?
You got a cyborg.
Things were pretty messed up.
Yes, absolutely.
Like society had taken a turn for the worse.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes, it has.
But
it looks really good though.
That's dope. And what was the other game you said that these guys did? They did one before this?
Terminator Resistance, which is like...
Was it Barney?
No, that's what they did. So they got Peter Weller in this. They didn't get Arnie for the last game, which would have been super dope.
pricey, probably.
Probably pricey.
In comparison to Peter Weller. No offense to Peter Weller.
No, Arnie did voice a game that he did prior. Well, I guess he didn't do prior.
But you say this Terminator 1 was good.
Terminator 1 was good. Go check it out. It's really cheap. I think it's like $19 right now. You can go pick it up for it.
You said it was on all of the PC,
oh, yeah.
Xbox.
PS4, Xbox, PS5, and new Xbox, PC.
And they're already, so they released only a 50-second trailer on this RoboCop one?
Yeah, they just released it like 2 days ago.
And it's already coming out, you said September?
Well, they released the
fast?
gameplay trailer yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Because it was delayed. It was supposed to come out in June. And so they came out yesterday and said it was delayed.
Oh,
and so
okay.
they put out the gameplay trailer, which was 50 seconds. Which, like I said, looks gruesome, violent, just like you would expect out of a RoboCop title.
Well, that's good. They should keep it true to form.
Well, I think they should too.
That's what brought you to the dance, right? Like, let's not lie to ourselves and pretend like RoboCop became excellent because of the sequels or because of his other fucking pop-ups in mainstream media, TV shows, or any of that nonsense.
The first two movies were
being on WCW with Sting, or the fact that Peter Weller was RoboCop. The real thing that was first, second movie was good.
The first two were the best,
but the first one is gritty good.
Oh yeah,
it is a phenomenal action film. Like, it is from the action film like school of hard knocks on like how to make a real action film.
Yeah.
RoboCop 1 is.
And you know what? You know what's kind of weird about RoboCop? I don't know how many other people out there experience.
As a child watching RoboCop, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Right. As a child watching RoboCop, there are scenes that legitimately scarred me, like them standing over him and stuff like that.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up. How did that movie, being an R-rated, and how violent it was, fall under like a kid category? Because that was like a kid movie. I mean, RoboCop was a kid thing. They had a cartoon of RoboCop. They had toys.
So I don't know if we were as sheltered still. Like,
no, I don't think so. But
I think we're always assuming that things are worse than they are because we're inundated with news. So there's always bad news happening somewhere. So you're going to get news from somewhere that sounds bad, that like makes things seem worse than they are, because there's news constantly now. Mm-hmm. But back when we were growing up, it wasn't so predominant where you were being force-fed things beyond like your local 6 p.m. news in your newspaper in the morning. That people were a little more, liberal with their thought process maybe, and they were just like, nice.
That was me. That
was you.
But
they were like, you know what?
There's a little
you're watching Jason Voorhees or Freddy or RoboCop.
Those are the movies I grew up.
I grew up watching those,
right?
And I wouldn't let my kids watch them now. So maybe I'm a hypocrite.
Not in high.
I'm a horrible hypocrite.
No, I don't say you're not a horrible hypocrite.
I'm a horrible hypocrite.
You're a smart parent. That's what you are.
Right. I guess I'm trying to prevent them from being a corrupt individual.
But if you guys are a RoboCop fan, just like me, you guys check that out. RoboCop Rogue City coming up sometime in September of this year. I would check that out.
Yeah, and it's violent. It sounds like
very violent from the 50.
Make sure you're at least of age, probably 14,
right?
M14 or whatever.
I think it is. Or 17 now or something like that. But another thing about news.
Should we talk about Jaw or should we talk about what should we do? Maybe Jaw first.
Sure.
No, we'll go. Forget your news.
Okay.
Because we got news in the NBA. There's a couple newses, right? There's lots of news going on. There's some NFL news. We're going to NFL news it at some point a little bit later, because there's NFL news like ridiculous. But so Jaw, we talked last week about that IG video.
Oh yeah.
And you should go to BigBeaverComics.com, by the way.
Check those out, man.
BigBeaverComics.com.
Anything you need,
action. Anything you need, man. We got you. You need that blow.
Got that plug, man.
Right, we got a plug. I got you, son. Whatever you need, dog.
All that.
I know somebody who knows somebody who knows something about it. Don't you worry.
But what did Ja Morant do now?
I mean, he didn't do anything beyond that IG video, but that IG video didn't turn out very well. I mean, it obviously was him, because he made himself culpable for it by removing himself from the picture there in Memphis for indeterminate period of time, which seems like it's a couple, 4 more games. I don't know if Memphis played last night. Today's Saturday in the early afternoon. Can't remember, to be straight honest with you. But yeah, John, I don't know what his deal is. Like, he wants to be something beyond an athlete. He's not happy apparently just being a multi-millionaire young athlete who won the luck of the genetic draw and who's had luck on his side in regards to injuries and the way the ball bounces. And he wants to throw it all away for
What?
some sort of funny image complex he has, right? Some role play,
LARPing.
some LARPing, right? Absolutely, I would say it's this silliness that's not quantifiable in my mind. Like you see guys do this, you do see this. You don't necessarily see it out of the top end superstars, like guys at the very tippy top. And Ja obviously is somebody who has kind of started to define a generation of players by how good he is, and superseded obviously Zion from that draft class.
That's right.
He was the number 2 guy, like off the board there, where Zion was supposed to be the generational guy that was going to change the game. And Ja's come in and definitely looked like he's at least the more consistent on the court. I mean, Zion's good when he's out there, but Ja is also out there. But looks like he's gonna put himself in predicaments without injuries, having to even interfere. We're not even gonna need to worry about his knees being bad, because he's gonna put himself in all sorts of silly situations that somebody who has his parents involved, where are his parents other than living vicariously through
He's
Ja
already started
Morant?
putting himself.
Somebody should put their foot in his ass and tell him to knock it off, because it's silly. It looks really silly.
Quit it, Ja.
It looks super silly, dude. Like, the Memphis Grizzlies are a pretty good team, and Ja's just out there acting a fool because what, dude? What ops you got? You're not even from Memphis. You're from Virginia or something. What ops? South Carolina. What ops do you got in Memphis? You don't have ops. You're a basketball player, dude. You can stop with the posturing. It's LARPing. It looks
exactly
silly.
what it is.
It looks silly.
So I guess you could say in Jaws, any publicity is not always good publicity, because
I feel bad for Desmond Bain and Jaren Jackson Jr. and other guys on the Memphis Grizzlies who were on the precipice of a hell of a good season there, and we're going to go into the playoffs, especially with the thing we're going to talk about next. They were going to go into the playoffs, and they looked like they were going to have a real viable opportunity to potentially be the team coming out of the West. And then you had the trade deadline happen. Kevin Durant, obviously, coming over to Phoenix, making Phoenix, Denver, and a lot of teams kind of at that West top hierarchy, because no one is really the top this year. So everyone's the top almost, if that makes sense. Because there is no number 1, so there's a bunch of 2A, 2B, 2C, 2, and there's just a bunch of guys vying for first that are all kind of tied for what should really be second in a division full of, that all seem to be lacking one piece. Phoenix getting Durant seemed to be that final piece on one team where it was they're not lacking anything.
Yeah.
They might have gave up a bit of depth, bench depth, with Cameron Johnson and Mikal Bridges and the guys that gave up to get Durant. But it's Ja had a team there that, if Steven Adams came back and was healthy, the Memphis Grizzlies and Ja Morant looked like they had as much opportunity as anybody else to take that number 1 spot and to take the West and go into those finals against whoever it ends up being out of the East, Philly, Boston, or Milwaukee. But he's doing this other LARPing.
Right, well, I don't know why.
And fucking Desmond Bain and Jaren Jackson Jr. and all these other guys in the process.
Right, it's more than just him in the process that he's kind of screwing over, because you doing that as being kind of like the star player, you are screwing everybody else.
He deleted all his social media. Right. I don't know what that means, because you can just deactivate stuff and then just turn it back on.
That's true. Did he deactivate it, or did he actually delete it?
He should deactivate the behavior. He shouldn't worry about the actual. Right. Well, those people around him should be protecting him.
Right, but there's also.
Who are the people that would get around someone who makes $10 or $20 million a year, and they wouldn't be like, protect him at all costs. Don't take him into situations that are stupid. Don't allow morons around him to influence him.
He obviously has some sort of outside influence.
Oh, clearly.
Right. So
you're not the one black sheep who's just trying to act like that around a bunch of other people who've got their head on straight.
Right. I wonder if I don't know. Maybe trying to show off to somebody. Maybe
again, you shouldn't have ops. You shouldn't have ops in a city you're not even from.
You're playing pro ball. You should just take your pro ball.
You're playing pro ball at the top echelon of pro ball.
Right. Speaking of the top echelon, how are the
wait. So wait, no. So we didn't really talk about Durant. So let's just talk about this injury now. So obviously, like I was saying, Phoenix, it was supposed to be a wrap now. Phoenix was supposed to kind of skyrocket in the West to number one. Durant obviously was that missing piece. Gave up a lot, like I said, to the Nets, who were actually playing a lot better than I thought they were going to be playing with a lot of these utility pieces. They don't really have a star, but every night it seems like a guy steps out and plays well. But that's neither here nor there at the moment. But the Suns, they looked like they had the guy. They brought in Durant. This was going to be the answer. Obviously, Devin Booker and Ayton and Paul and everybody, they got rid of the Crowder situation where Crowder was sitting out all year. It looked like, okay, boom, we got this on lock now. We're back to these Phoenix Suns of a couple of years ago, if not better, even though Chris Paul has regressed slightly. And we're going to make a push in a Western Conference that this year is not near as deep. Like I said, a lot of parity at the top, a lot of 2A, 2B, 2C kind of stuff. And Durant slipped on a toothpick or some shit in the first game home, because he went 3-0 on the road. First game home for Phoenix, which was a game everybody was really anticipating. I would imagine the fans were probably. And in the opening thing, he went for a layup and rolled an ankle and went down in 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. You know, Durant's been hurt lots, man. Since he blew that Achilles out a few years ago, Durant has been out lots. That Phoenix team now looks like, again, the West is up. And Durant, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing for a career? How are we gonna start to ratify these injury situations that seem to crop up every 15 games when you don't even play every night as it is? Like, you're only 34, 35 years old. Like, I'm not sure if Phoenix maybe didn't overpay, front-loaded to try to get, and I'm sure they did, because they're trying to utilize the very last years of Chris Paul's utility, where Chris Paul is actually someone who, while he doesn't give you the points, he can still give you adequate amount of minutes, and his basketball IQ, his acumen on the court, his ability to make other people look better and to spread the court out is phenomenal. So Paul still adds a lot of utility, but it's a very diminishing window of time, because the man's 38 years old, second oldest guy in the league or whatever, behind LeBron. So I mean, Chris is running out of time. So they might, in the long run, regret giving up Mikal Bridges and stuff, because Bridges looks crazy in Brooklyn. I'm not sure about this. Durant out now. Fucking Phoenix, man, looks like I thought for sure it was a wrap now. You saw Luka. There was
no banana peel on the court. It wasn't sabotage.
Dude, I've seen it from like 20 angles.
Shoes didn't blow up.
He totally he planted the foot. It even looked like it was flush, and it just like rolled off the toe and totally just like hyperextended underneath itself.
Bizarro.
It was almost like the tendons so overstretched that it just, I'm not a doctor. But it looked terrible. It looked terrible because Kevin Durant makes $40 million a year. And you just gave up a bounty to bring this man in, to be the playoff difference maker. But granted, KD has a pretty good reputation of not really needing a lot of games with guys to jive with guys on the court. KD's a phenomenal basketball mind himself. Forget Chris Paul. So KD, obviously, his 3 games he did play with Phoenix, all road games. I mean, those 3 games, he looked ridiculous. He looked like KD of forever, the KD that's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, the KD that's going to go down as a top 10 shooter of all time. The KD that everybody knows and loves. But the health thing is so concerning.
Right, no, that is. And with him being out, how is that going to stand in place in the Western Conference?
Well, they're still probably going to finish 3rd or 4th, and he's going to be back by the playoffs. But I just don't think that, I don't think that in the long run, this Phoenix situation was probably the right move. I think they're going to miss Cam Johnson. I think they're going to miss Mikal Bridges. I think they're going to miss a lot of what they gave up to bring in Kevin Durant, where Durant really just looks so fragile. And it's such a shame to watch, because
is it noticeably he looks fragile?
He's just hurt 3 years in a row since he missed that entire season with the Achilles pop. He blew that Achilles in the playoffs and missed the entire next year, and then every year after that he's played 30, 40, 50 games. He doesn't put up whole seasons, not even close. So I know he takes a couple of games off, and rightfully so. When you've played to that extent. Other guys got to get in. Other guys got to get some minutes. Like you're an older veteran. They're trying not to put a lot of wear and tear on you in every different game. That you don't need to always be out there in fucking December, especially if your team's playing well and you take a night off here and there. But when it's injury related habitually, it's way different. And you wish it wasn't like that because you're starting to see with LeBron, but LeBron's got 4 years on KD.
Yeah, he's got much more time in, right? Much more wear and tear over those 4 years.
And played a much more physical style of basketball, period. Like, not throwing shade at Durant for fucking how Durant played, but Durant's a shooter, right? Durant found his space, bigger than everybody, got crazy touch, like maybe the best touch anybody's ever had. For a guy who looks kind of gangly, like he doesn't look like a guy who really like box you out in the fucking paint or anything, right? Even though he can, he's very basketball talented, but he's kind of long. He's a Slim Reaper. He's long and gangly.
I like that name.
But he's ice cold. Like he's got a shot that's just ridiculous. But LeBron is broad, so LeBron has even more miles on him than LeBron ain't twisting no shit in pregame, falling down.
No,
I don't know. Phoenix. It's a bad look.
So let's talk about the Western Conference here. How are the Nuggets doing?
You want to talk about the Nuggets are in first, aren't they? Nuggets are in first, man. Like fucking Nuggets lost. Did they lose? Was that last night? They lost to some bummy ass team last night. I think it was last night. Remember the other
Rockets?
Remember last week we were talking Michael Porter Jr. We were talking about the Nuggets last week, and I could not bring up this guy's name for the life of me. And I was like, it's some dude from the Nuggets, and I could not think of what his name was. Michael Porter Jr. But that's neither here nor there. Nuggets are good, man. The Western Conference is wide open, and a team that takes that next step, which the Nuggets are very capable of. Because obviously they've got two-time defending MVP Nikola Jokic, right? And they've got, like I said, Michael Porter Jr. They've got, I knew I was talking about it.
Never gonna forget that name again.
Right, and they've got Jamal Murray. So like, if Murray can stay healthy, which he couldn't stay healthy last year, he's done a much better job this year. I think they have as good of an opportunity in the West as anybody to come out of it. I don't know what they're going to be like when things get into deep waters. Like, I'm not sure what their playoff acumen or pressure IQ looks like, because I think that does matter. I think a lot of people don't give that the credit that it really deserves. The like having been there before and overcome ridiculous odds, or have been in conference finals or finals where you were up by a game or two games and losing, and what those experiences put on you compared to what they benefit you if you never had it. Because I think if you've never been there, while you're still a bit of a virgin in that case, you don't have the scars of failed triumphs in years past. You don't have those life experiences to know how to navigate those type of waters. So Denver doesn't have that. Denver's been to the playoffs, but they find a way to find themselves out of the playoffs. And even though they got an MVP going on maybe 3 years this year if he beats fucking Embiid. They're first. There's that. That's nice. Home court throughout the playoffs is nice, but do something with it. You're going to have to do something with it.
They got the opportunity.
But they've had it now a couple of years, right? And stay healthy. You still have 14, 15 more games in the season, 14 more games probably for Denver. And like I said, they just choked a game away last night, like a bullshit game. They never should have choked away against like some non-playoff Eastern team. I want to say it's like Orlando. I could be wrong, but it was not impressive. It was not something when I looked at the box score before I was going to bed where I was like, son of a bitch, look at that. It was like, that's reality for you. How's that for reality? Like, you're number one in the West, losing to some like non-playoff team. So yeah, Denver needs to.
Do you think that possibly the Kings could take the number one spot from the Nuggets?
Kings aren't going to take the number one, so I'm actually pretty surprised the Kings are in number two.
Yeah,
the Kings are amazing. Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox and Harrison Barnes, and I mean, like, they look a lot better than I think anybody expected they could. Like a lot, like we talked about this once already. Like I don't have, again, I don't have a lot of faith in the long run in the playoffs because the lack of experience. I wonder how much, once you butt up against a team that has it, how they might be able to drag you into deep waters you're not used to playing. Because series against veteran teams that have been there before, those teams know that there's like a different kind of playoff basketball that you can like get away with. Where games get a little more physical, they get a little more snug, they get a little more, there's a little more rawness to them rather than the outright shooting affair that you see in the regular season. And I think if you've never been there before and don't understand the psychology of it, you might not. And I'm going to have to, I guess, use this because I've used this now twice to defend a position on Denver now and Sacramento. I'm going to have to use this if we talk about the Clippers in my own defense, which shows my own bias. But that's neither here nor there. I hate the Clippers, but I'm going to have to use this because I can't be a liar. So anyways, yeah, Sacramento, fuck, they're good. I don't think anybody thought they were going to be this good. I don't think the experience is going to fucking amount to them getting past. They might make it through the first round, losing the second. They're not going to conference finals.
They're not going to
they just don't have. They don't have the. Maybe next year, if they can keep this up, if they're the team that takes the step. Let's say De'Aaron Fox goes from a guy who was potentially the one that was on his way out of Sacramento to not just a star this year, like an all-star caliber star, but a superstar next year. Because he's only like 23 years old. De'Aaron Fox is still fucking young. Let's say he takes that giant leap. Then maybe Sabonis. Still, there's not a lot of depth there. They got a long way to go. Sacramento has a long way to go. Second is impressive. Nobody even, I don't think, pegged them out to make the playoffs this year. So second, that's impressive.
That's quite impressive.
I like Sacramento. I like the way they play. They play good team basketball. They're smart. They utilize what they've got as strengths, and they're benefiting from it. They're listening to their coach clearly, and they're all playing with their head in the game, because it's the continuity that would bring a team that was a non-playoff team for the longest drought in the history of the NBA, and that's continuing on as of right now. I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs now, but they're going to break that streak of that playoff drought. It's not because they were good from last year. It's because these guys have really clearly bought into a system and play well together, and they're clearly accentuating the positives in Sacramento.
I don't remember. You might know this. How long did they say Ja was going to be out for? Because he left, right, for a bit.
4 more games, I think. 3 more games. This is Saturday, so 4 more games.
How do you think that's going to hurt the Grizzlies' standings, huh?
I mean, you put a lot on Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. to come out and be the guys who can hold everything down.
It's 4 games, so 4 games, right?
It's a lot when you're making a push for, the top of the conference in a year when the conference isn't that deep, and you were the team that probably could have. I don't know if you really have the size you want, like the skill and the size, but you definitely have the playmakers and the defense, because Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the best defensive players in the league. And Bane is a big boy who's strong on the ball and can drain that thing. And I mean, Bane's a beast, man. Bane is one of my favorite basketball players. Super underrated because Ja fucking flies through the air. Bane does a lot more in the nitty gritty areas of the court where you're really impressed with the basketball. Where you're like, if you can keep that up for a career, don't get spoiled by the money or the fame.
He's like more like a muscle, you're kind of saying?
He's just he's aggressive.
Yeah.
He's an aggressive, like Isaiah Thomas was an aggressive basketball player. He's a very aggressive basketball player. Like, he just is looking, whereas Ja, it's almost effortless. You know what I mean? When you watch Ja, it looks kind of effortless, even though his peers are of equal talent to him. He's got these innate physical characteristics, these qualities, especially the jumping ability, to make it look somewhat effortless sometimes. Whereas Bane looks like a guy working people. And that's kind of a nice quality to see in someone who you can like really see, like they want that son of a bitch bad. Like, I don't know if they're playing for like the big boy contract or if they're playing for the W, but if they're playing for the W, that's the guy you want on your team for real. Because you don't know if the big boy contract, the first time you get it, But as of right now, Bane's one of my favorite players in the league. That draft class, that Bane, Halliburton, Ball, Edwards draft class is crazy good.
Strong.
Crazy good. Coro's starting to play well in Cleveland. Wiseman looks like he's found a spot in Detroit. That draft is not half bad.
How are the Suns doing in their standings? Do you think they can progress further up the leaderboard?
No, because now with Durant out, I think that there's a space here. Doing these rookies from entire seasons becomes quite cumbersome. So no, I don't think fucking with Durant out that they have any opportunity whatsoever. I think that's a pipe dream, absolutely, for Phoenix to move from where they are, because they're not going to want to put more hours on the wheels of Ayton and Paul and Booker going into the playoffs, because God forbid they get there and one of those guys get hurt, because they've been hurt all year too, or Durant isn't back yet, even though they projected Durant to be back. So, I mean, you could encounter one of two of those issues. You're not going to want to put any more hours, because the fact of the matter is if Phoenix goes into the playoffs in third or fourth or fifth, but they're healthy, there's probably nobody in the West that's better than them still. So who gives a shit if you end up in the conference finals and Denver has home court advantage in the first two games? Like, split it 1-1, bring it back home, go up 3-1, beat them. Like, I mean, that's, if you can stay healthy with KD and Booker and Ayton and Paul, you're going to do just fine. If you're not healthy, it's not going to matter, because you're just going to be an also-ran in that conference, because you need all those guys. Paul's maybe the guy you could lose, which, I mean, that's not, like I was saying, Paul is still very useful, super useful, but at 38 years old, 39 maybe, Chris Paul's old, second oldest guy in the league.
Yeah.
But Chris Paul's, he's a gangster, bro. Not that John Morant type gangster either. Like, the real
IG
basketball gangster.
That's a good title to have.
So Chris Paul is elite, and if he's healthy, if they're all healthy, Phoenix could walk out of that conference. If they go into the first round, game one, and everyone's good enough to go, where they're not hobbled, guys aren't missing games, and they can remain that way, I don't see anybody in the West beating them regardless. Finish third, sixth, whatever, wherever they finish, second, first. I don't think they're going to get a lot of wins here. Like I said, going into the end, because Durant's out, and I think they're going to still rest Booker, because they know that if we're all healthy going into playoffs, we can compete with anybody. So
you don't think the Clippers have a chance for beating the Suns now to move up to the leaderboard?
I think they can beat them. No, I think they, because obviously Durant. So I think the Clippers, and this is where again I need to come to Jesus and have that thing where I said I wasn't going to be biased earlier when we were talking about Denver and we were talking about Sacramento. In that, when I was saying Sacramento and Denver don't have the playoff experience, I hate the Clippers. And I was looking at this earlier today and thinking out like, I would never think the Clippers could do good in the NBA playoffs. Like, they're always hurt. There's always something. Yeah. They don't have the depth. They got Westbrook now. It's all this bullshit. And then I think but you need the playoff experience, and who has more playoff experience than two-time MVP on two different teams? Kawhi Leonard. So if you actually need the playoff experience, if the Clippers are healthy, maybe the Clippers are a lot more dangerous than I was giving them credit for going into this conversation right now, actually, because I never would have came to this Jesus moment had I not run down my thoughts on Denver and Sacramento's lack of playoff skills, and then to reflect on the fact that, Kawhi, if he's healthy, if he's rolling and he's healthy, who has more playoff fucking acumen than Kawhi Leonard? I mean, it's LeBron, it's Steph, it's other guys with lots of championships, but Kawhi, for a one-man show, has done tons, and he's got Paul George, if the Clippers are healthy, the Clippers are a viable option, so why not the Clippers? So I think in this conversation, I've completely flip-flopped on the Clippers, and I feel like now my crosstown rival, because I'm a Laker fan, my crosstown rival, the Los Angeles Clippers, if they're healthy, they might be able to make a run in the West. They might be able to. Kawhi's ridiculous.
We got a chance.
But they've been so up and down. I'm not going to bet my money on it, but if they're there,
you think it's their time? If they're there, moment?
I think their fans have definitely thought that for a while. I think their fans have sat in some sort of fan purgatory for a period of time where they've been expecting this Clippers team, not just this time, but last time. Who was on the Clippers that played with Blake Griffin? Was it Chris Paul? I think it was Chris Paul, right? So like there's been so many times Clippers fans have been waiting for the other shoe to drop with a team that looks like it's superstars and it never seems to pan out. But if we were going to discount Denver and Sacramento's, or I was going to discount Denver and Sacramento's, a lack of playoff experience in winning towards their probable ability to not make it to the finals, then I have to give it to the Clippers, because while they don't as a team have it, it's not like Kawhi Leonard is lacking in it. He definitely has it. So if Kawhi's rolling on all cylinders, I'd be silly to not assume Kawhi has the potential to maybe drag the Clippers to a conference finals and then maybe upset a team in a fashion that we weren't expecting, or a team that doesn't have the same experience that Kawhi does. So Clippers could maybe do anything. I'm not really keen on it. I'm not really keen on it. I'm not really keen on it. Don't mark me down as like fanboy of Clippers. Like I don't want that title bestowed on me. Like I don't like the Clippers. I'm a Lakers fan. The Clippers can absolutely just bite a dick. But in reality, if I'm being honest with you, healthy, Kawhi could do probably anything.
All right, so what's your take on the Mavericks? The card was sweet. I love the floor Mavericks.
Right, Maverick the movie too. The Mel Gibson, the Card movie with
good.
What's her name? Helen Hunt.
It was, Helen Hunt. And what's another dude's name?
Excellent movie. Yeah. Maverick with Mel Gibson is an excellent movie.
He's that old guy. He's from the Rockford Files.
Right, James Garner.
James Garner.
Yes,
that's right.
That is a fantastic movie. I'm a big proponent, a connoisseur of Maverick, of Mel Gibson movies, period. Mel Gibson was...
You're quite the Maverick yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. You're quite the stallion.
Ooh.
Right. I didn't want to be too forward, but I figured, I might as well shoot my shot here live on the internet. Right. If it doesn't work, I'll just blow your head off.
Oh, damn. Live on the internet.
Right. Live on the internet. Right. Carol Capizov, rookie card, and parallel.
Look at that.
So,
News.
So yeah, I would have thought the Mavericks, the Mel Gibson Mavericks, would have been better since bringing in, well, I mean, they lost Brunson, right, last year. Brunson's banged up now in New York, but I thought giving up what they gave up for Kyrie Irving, with Luka having a season that was, trending towards being, I mean, at one point in time during the season, he was in the conversations for the MVP, back when Tatum was maybe the leading rumor getter back in the early part of the season for MVP voting. Then Luka was kind of in the second tier place, and then Luka kind of moved in because Embiid didn't really start the season too much for Philly. Then obviously Jokic, you start looking at his stats accumulated over the season. He doesn't do anything that's so phenomenal, but he finds a way to get to where he's number one in almost all these categories. So Luka was having a season where it looked like you had Kyrie Irving, who, when his head's in the game, is one of the best basketball players on the planet. It looked like that dynamic duo could have been, and now, is he even going to re-sign there? They're not any good. They got no chemistry. Like, they don't know I don't know if Jason Kidd maybe doesn't know what he's doing as the coach.
Do you think it might just be a coach thing, or do you think it's a chemistry between the team? I wonder.
It's difficult to say. It's such a small body of work.
I'm not in the locker room.
No, and there's such a small body of work. There just isn't a whole lot to take a look at where you can say, like, well, over the course of 80, but we don't have 80 games because Kyrie's contract's going to be up at the end of the season, and they're going to have to decide whether they give this guy a max deal or not. There's not some option which Kyrie's going to like entertain beyond like max deal.
I would like a max deal. How do I get
so
one
would
of
I,
those?
right? I would like a
NBA.
Right.
Max deal.
I'll take a min deal. Fuck a max deal.
Right.
I'll take the absolute min.
You use me as a pincushion too.
You run the train, baby.
Right, need your coffee, your bed mate, your breakfast, whatever.
Jack you off.
$250,000 a year, I'll do that.
Whatever you need.
Whatever you need.
Hand jobs all around, my man.
Day and night, even when you sleep.
Joel Keevy, cartridge?
I have no idea. I do
no.
like these Dazzler cards. You go check out Big Beaver Comics. We can find action figures, sports cards, and comic books. And some CGC slabs over there too.
Those are excellent plug. I like how you go into like plug mode.
Oh, thank you very much.
BigBeaverComics.com.
We'll check us out.
Instagram, BB card sales on Instagram, all sorts of good stuff. You hear the YouTube there, subscribe to this son of a bitch.
See you on both
Punch
platforms.
you right in the dick if you don't.
Yeah, I'll punch myself in the dick.
Right, I'll punch you. Yeah, if you subscribe, I'll come back live.
I will.
Punch myself in the dick for you.
If I got 100 likes on this video, I'll punch myself in the dick on the
That's
story.
commitment, right?
60 seconds.
Right, 60 seconds of dick punching. And
I'll do it.
then the next week I'll
Do
come
it.
back and do 60 seconds of dick touching.
That's the internet challenge. Right now, we get 100 likes on this video. I'll punch myself in the dick
So,
in 60
so
seconds.
Dallas is a fucking, Dallas a wash.
Wash, we should
Dallas,
watch, huh?
Dallas looks like, the continuity's all messed up now. Like I don't see Dallas being able to find a way out of this with the amount of money they're gonna have to commit to Kyrie and the fact that the sentiment's not good. They're gonna make the playoffs. Like I imagine the Mavericks are still gonna find a way. They're gonna back into the playoffs because they're definitely not gonna be on a winning streak going in there or anything. But they're gonna find a way. And they might find a little bit of continuity when the playoffs start. Maybe they can up it a gear. Obviously, Kyrie's won a championship with LeBron. Luka doesn't have that, but Luka went to the conference finals last year, like I said, with Brunson. Luka's a beast, but when you got two guys trying to, two left feet, it's not really...
Yeah, it's a 2 left feet thing.
And they're trying. They're not trying. You can see it some games. One of them has way more points than the other, and the other guy's assists are way up, and they're trying to find a vibe, but there's just sometimes it doesn't work.
They can't come to a good fusion.
Sometimes it doesn't work. They're just they're banging tips together. Like it's just not
I hate when that happens.
right. It's just not the romance.
It goes nowhere.
Not
It goes
building.
nowhere.
It goes nowhere.
It's just a bunch of chafing,
You just end up
bruising.
sitting there jagging it. You're right. It's
Not fun.
So Dallas. Shit, man. They might be sitting in that spot or fighting to even stay not in the play-in. They might end up in the play-in. Who knows? Because what? 6, 7, 8, 9 7, 8, 9, 10 make the play-in. And you can be out of the playoffs as quick as you look like you were in them.
Do you think the Warriors have a fighting chance?
Yeah.
Playing.
Yeah. I see a lot of guys. I see Nick Wright and a lot of these guys that do actual sports talk. I don't know if you can call it radio anymore. Sports talk television, sports talk YouTube. And they talk about how the Warriors don't have a chance. The Warriors are defending champions. They got a bunch of guys on that team that have won 4 titles and multiple young guys that I know haven't had the greatest. I mean, Poole's had a fine season. He's had some games where he doesn't look as polished as the contract justifies, but Poole's still really good. Obviously, Curry, Thompson, Green, Iguodala have won championship after championship after championship with Golden State. So they won one last year. Kuminga, they got Mood, they've got Andrew Wiggins. When Wiggins comes back here in another week, Golden State, for as bad as they've played, for the fact that their road record is probably the worst road record in the history of professional basketball.
Ouch!
It's brutal.
That
dude.
is brutal.
Nobody can even figure out what's going on.
They should get a plaque that says that.
Well, what they could do is they can really erase that from everybody's memory by going on just an absolute tear in the playoffs, and they've got the skill and the experience to do it. So I would say everybody that's writing off, and I could be totally wrong, but I don't think I am. I'm going to stick with the team that has the most production in the last decade, when it still has those core players there, some of whom are still, like Steph Curry, other than a little bit of injuries this year, still in his prime. Without any kind of, Dylan Kuglin and a Dylan Cousins.
Ooh.
Right? Good way to screw a guy up. What am I looking
is.
for? That's why I thought that I had one down here already.
Oh, yeah, he's still in
So,
his
yeah.
30s, right? Young.
Steph's early 30, 32 maybe.
Something like that,
Something
right?
like that, 33. Steph still got a few years.
Oh, absolutely.
Steph's a beast. And Draymond was never a point machine. Draymond's always been a defensive guy. Stats are still kind of where they've always been. Draymond slowed down a little bit. Dre's contract up at the end of the year. Punch Poole, obviously, earlier this year. Draymond wants what sounds like max deal, which he's not going to get. So he might not be back after this season.
Ooh.
But I
Ouch.
mean, you're going to be playing to prove that you are deserving of that contract. When better to play like that than in the playoffs when you guys?
Do you think
have
punching
been-
him hurt at that contract at all?
It's not going to hurt him. Sucker punch him more or less. He didn't sucker punch him. Pooh was clearly running his mouth. It's like, don't run your mouth if you don't want to get hit in the mouth. Like, because you don't know how the other person's going to respond.
The more you fuck around, the more you find out, right?
There's a big spectrum there where I would say that that's a real probable sort of a situation where if you shouldn't bite off more than you can chew, because you have to realize that the response of that other party isn't your control. So if they decide to turn around, Ja Morant, you don't realize that brandishing weapons might raise the ire of someone with nothing to lose his ego, who then decides to meet you in equal kind with that violence, but then only to find out you're not really about that life. And then you'll lose your life on some posturing nonsense, because there's people with nothing to lose who can earn big reputation off making you a lesson. And that's not...
Yeah, you don't want to be made an example of.
You don't want to be made an example of.
No.
So, and I think everybody betting against the Golden State Warriors could very easily be made an example of. Because Steph and Clay looked like at the beginning of the year, end of last, Clay looked like it was over. The shooting looked like it was done. It was a wrap. Clay had lost all that shooting prowess he had. The fact that he could just, one of the Splash Brothers, he could shoot the lights out. And now in the second half of this season, you can see Clay can still go just as hard. He might not be as fast, but Clay was never the fastest guy. But Clay can go just as hard when he's got the ball in his hands. You give him just a little bit of space, Clay puts that fucking thing in. So Draymond he's not gonna get a max deal from Golden State no matter what happens, even if they go on a run. But everybody that thinks they won't go on a run. So Golden State, yeah, I like them. I think they're underrated. I think they're mad underrated because 4 championships. They already got 4. They're the defending champion right fucking now.
I have 0 championships.
Right now they're the defending champion. You're my champion.
Oh, thank you. You're gonna make me blush over here.
Heavyweight champion.
Hey, so we're gonna talk about the number 7 spot.
And that weight's all in your dick. When I say heavyweight, I mean
boom.
That's all girthy dick weight.
Of course, ladies.
That's not that bullshit.
notes.
That's not all that bullshit weight, right? It's not.
No, this is no synthol. This is
No, this
real
isn't
dirt.
right. This isn't all just calves. That's meaty cock weight.
That's right. How do you think the Timberwolves are gonna shape up? Since they're in the 7th.
Another loss last night, like Denver's bullshit loss, was the Timberwolves taking an L in a game that they
They
should
look
find.
intentional.
No, they didn't look like they threw the game.
Oh,
No,
okay.
this didn't look like this was some betting ruse.
Oh, that's
where
what
they were
it goes,
trying
yeah.
to topple Vegas or anything.
I'm
So
trying to get that.
no, I don't want to start that rumor because that seems like that would be
Taken out by the mob.
poor of me to do, to slander them that publicly. They were trying to take it down from the inside.
So are they in the doghouse, or do you think they have a
They
chance?
look really good recently.
Yeah.
I like the chemistry between Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves, in the long run, might still think they overpaid for Gobert. I would imagine Karl Anthony Towns is probably going to be the odd man out in the offseason. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think if they end up in the play-in, they're probably going to win their play-in game because I think Anthony Edwards is going to probably will it to happen. I'm not sure they're going to get out of the first round at all. I would imagine this is going to be the same situation with Edwards with what it was with Gobert and with Mitchell in Utah, with Gobert here in Minnesota. But I think Edwards is probably going to will his way into a first-round playoff matchup where you're going to see him play 6 or 7 games on national TV in the evenings. And people are going to realize that just because he's in Minnesota, there's like a superstar in Minnesota. Because Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man's a B. I hesitate to call him Ant because you're Ant to me. I was thinking this the other day when I was thinking about some of this stuff, and I was like, I hesitate to call Anthony Edwards, even though everybody else calls him Ant-Man. I'm like,
They call him Ant-Man.
yeah, or Ant. Like I just you're Ant.
I know a lot of people
He's
call him
Anthony Edwards. I'm gonna give him his full name.
Right, he's like a Nick Cage. I got to say.
Right. He's gonna get his full name. But I like Minnesota. I don't think they get in the first round, but I definitely think they get in the playoffs. And I think they've showed everybody in the second half of the season that Gobert deal was not near as bad as that people thought it was gonna be. Because like they were well out of the playoffs up till a month ago, and now they've been progressively becoming more middle of the pack Western Conference, which again has no real definable top end hierarchy.
Okay, well, I'm going to bring up a little bit of a tough topic. I don't know if it might not
water left.
It's your Lakers are in the 9th position right now. How do you think they're going to fare this?
Health permitting, the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's again going to be the real domino. Is if Anthony Davis, because LeBron's out right now again. LeBron's old, we get it. When he's in, he goes hard. Anthony Davis still gets paid a lot, and he's 30. He's out. He's out all the time. He's been out 2-3 times this year. Every time he gets hot, he's out. He was in the MVP conversation for a cup of coffee.
How do you think he has the ips?
No. I think he's got that being over 7 feet. You just are. He's covering so much square footage, and there's just so much it could break that things do break. And Edwards seems to be somewhat of an emotional guy, a little bit, in the sense that he does kind of go on these tears, these up and downs, where the consistency's not so competitive edgy. It's more the mood he's in is how hard he plays. Whereas a guy like LeBron is when he's out there, it's very competitive.
It's just business.
It's fucking business, bro. It's legacy and it's reputation and it's all that. Whereas Edwards seems a little bit more
emotional,
motivated through if he's a little saddy pants, he kind of pouting is in the body language and stuff, right? So, or Davis rather said, if Anthony Davis can stay healthy and the Lakers can make a push with the guys they've picked up at the trade deadline, which were a lot of nice moves. They did a lot of stuff. They lost those picks, obviously, but I think they brought in more than people were talking about. The actual conversation was Buddy Hield and stuff out of Indiana. I think the Lakers, again, could get in the playoffs, and if Anthony Davis and LeBron James are both healthy, the experiences. LeBron's been to 10 finals. He's won 4 of them. He won one with Anthony Davis in the bubble 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Why couldn't he win one now? They could easily, but again, if they're not healthy, it's a fucking wrap. They're not, there's no question. It's like Phoenix with Durant. If Durant's not in there, Phoenix is not going anywhere. All of a sudden, there starts to be a definable hierarchy in the West. If Memphis doesn't have Ja, it starts to be a real definable hierarchy in the West. Where all of a sudden, Denver starts looking like that team. Where all of a sudden, you look at Dallas or the Clippers, which sucks to say, and think how can people not look at Golden State if Golden State's healthy? But if you've got LeBron in there, and if you've got Ja in there, and if everybody's got their guys, if KD's in Phoenix, the West is wide open, buddy. It is a shooting gallery. I wouldn't bet anything on who comes out of the West. I just, like I said, lean sort of into that experience thing, because experience and some good chemistry between guys might be what put teams over the top coming out of there. If I was rubbing a crystal ball, trying to give you the best premonitions of the future, considering there's no real X factor guy, because I think Jokic is as much of an X factor as Ja is as much of an X factor as the pairing of KD and Devin Booker, is as much of an X factor as the pairing of Kyrie and Doncic, is as much of an X factor as the fact that you've got Steph Curry, is as much of an X factor as LeBron James. So that's a pretty wide swath in the West.
Okay.
So it's tough to pick.
So do you think the Pelicans have
They're fucked, because that's the injury.
They're not going to make
the playoffs. No, because the Zion thing. No Zion. Okay. Zion's not going to be back. Ingram and McCullough can't hold it down there by themselves. They do a good job. Ingram again has injury, but McCullough has injury issues. They'll fuck everybody there. Everybody.
Why is everybody getting hurt?
Basketball's a rough sport on people's ankles and knees, and you're just a lot of big arms swinging around and get people getting slapped, and you don't realize
fake ankles.
Guys fall on other guys' feet, roll ankles.
People should just get their feet cut off and just get those big springs.
Springs, right? The Oscar Pistorius, those bent skis that guys run on in those special Olympics.
You have a long career.
Right, everybody bounce and dunk, so I don't think they have a chance. I think the Pelicans are not going to be a viable option for the West to think anybody that's worried about the Pelicans.
So I should not bet on the Pelicans.
Bet on the Pelicans. Don't. Bet. Zion, with no Zion, no chance.
Okay.
You can write that down.
No to Bookie.
No Zion, no
Okay.
chance. That would be
got
the
got it.
preeminent, overarching theory I would go with when it comes to
When it comes to that,
Pelicans. Yeah,
okay, well that covers
Morgan Geek. That covers the West.
That covers the Western.
The
Conference.
West?
Like the top 10.
West Side. West Side.
Go Raiders!
Go Raiders.
So yeah, that covers the top 10 anyways in the Western Conference.
So there's 9 good opportunities for playoff teams where there's only going to be 8. So we talked about 9 out of those 10, I think, all have a real viable opportunity
Right, I'm just going to cross
to be
don't do that.
to be impactful like that. I don't think there's anybody in the West that couldn't go into the Western Conference playoffs and make some noise just because there's going to be more. It's a creeping sort of like a plague or a disease, like a leprosy here. These cards,
Right.
and if you have to move, then you're
No,
just
no,
gonna have to
I'm getting
get
urged.
the fuck out of the way. I'll force my way in through government sanctions and
You can't do
heavies.
this.
I'll send heavies.
This is
To
Francesco Berg
This
right
is
here.
this
You're-
is
you're
oh shit,
approaching,
right? That's sovereign land.
That's right.
Coming
It's my own
towards
country over here.
sovereign land. I apologize.
Sovereign. Did you? Okay, before we move on here, did I show you a picture of
Of your
Modoc's?
dick, you did.
I
I
did.
saw it. It was
The front and
majestic,
back pictures,
like
right?
a fucking unicorn. I
Yeah,
saw.
yeah. I'm getting a diorama 3D. You know,
Wow.
you know how you make those buses out of the cardboard? It starts flat. It's like that.
I don't, but I want to know more.
Remember like those like UNICEF buses when you were a kid in the school?
Oh, the little like cardboard to carry around in like Halloween.
Right, it's that. I'm getting my dick pics and those kind of things. It's
That
3D,
sounds really
3D
beautiful.
boxing event. But
I'd like to get one of those. I'd like to donate to the cause. Tell me how I get on the board. I'd like to be an angel investor,
ooh,
a front
you
runner,
do? Okay.
early adopter of
I got a
these
number
dick
for you.
pic bus, cardboard buses. Right,
Get your dick pic on.
right. Yeah, I'll drive that bus around.
It's like the Oscar Mayer wiener.
Right, I'll drive that bus around.
I want to bring
This is
up.
what you wanted to talk about? with
No,
your
this
dick?
is not what I wanted to
Oh,
talk
did
about.
I sidetrack things?
No,
You should
no.
move your fucking binder out of the way before I have to.
You should move these cars out of the way.
I'm working
I told
here.
you you're encroaching on
I'm
Francesco
working.
Berg here,
I'm
bro.
working here. We had to annex it. We annexed the
You
land.
are now encroaching
No, you weren't
on
here.
my
You
land.
were on a government.
Actually, once you cross
you were on
this
an illegal.
line,
You were on an illegal government paid vacation
no, I
with your
wasn't.
mistress, smoking crack.
Oh.
And while that was happening, we annexed the land.
well, you
Don't
can
ask.
okay, you can take up to here, but you can't
Don't-
take any
don't
more.
ask so many questions.
Don't be doing. Did you see Modoc's face?
You're a son of a bitch.
I know,
I
I know.
did see Modoc. You showed it to me.
Did Modoc not look like Jeff Bezos?
Why is it
Why
like
did they
that?
do that? Right,
Why is that really? That's Ant-Man. Is that what that's from?
Ant-Man.
Why is that like that?
I have no. That's the just why. That's what I want to know. It's not like I'm asking you why, because you.
No. I'm asking you why. I'm wondering if you actually know if they
I
came out
don't-
and like said like, oh, it was like a joke. Like we thought it was funny. Like
I think
because
they
it
just
looks
lost their
ridiculous, dude.
ever-loving
It
mind.
looks like from a time when CGI and all that was like in its infancy.
Yeah,
like,
I
it
would
looks
expect that of a
ridiculous.
spoof movie.
Dude, and that's from Ant-Man, eh?
That is from
This is
Ant-Man.
the third Ant-Man.
This is
too,
the
isn't
third Ant-Man movie.
it? What a shit show.
When I first seen this picture, I thought it was fake. I'm like, okay, this somebody just photoshopped Jeff Bezos.
When you
face
showed it
in.
to me, I was like, dude, that's fake. That's not in it. You're
No.
like, no, it's out.
I've looked multiple pictures, and it is that. And I
If
don't-
we're wrong, let us know in the comments.
please let me know that I'm wrong. I would love to know that I'm wrong, but I don't know why.
If you
they
like
do
comic books, by the way, BigBeaverComics.com,
that. Boom, boom, boom.
YouTube, Big Beaver Comics, Big Beaver Cards,
Wherever
same
that
thing with
plugs into.
Instagram, all that shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Subscribe and get your dick out of your hand. I see you out there.
Or get in somebody's mouth.
Yeah, put it in mine. Yeah,
There you go.
fucking goof.
But besides the MODOK face, I just think they're doing that because they've lost in touch with reality and what looks good now. And maybe Jeff Bezos had a little something
Really?
into it. Maybe he paid for it and said, hey, make me MODOK.
There's no way they lost touch with any type of reality to
They make-
that extent where they think
make
that
cartoons for movies. They make comic book
right.
movies. They've
That's what I'm
lost
saying.
touch.
They do this for a living.
All
They
right,
can't have thought that was was good.
I don't know.
There's no way with checks and balances in place to the level of a studio of that size.
Somebody cleared that.
Multiple people did. That's why I said I think it's like a joke. I think it can't be real. It looks ridiculous.
Well, I thought about my next thing.
It's a real fail.
It is.
And I would imagine because like MODOK's one of the best characters in the MCU. I don't know. I've told this story a few times, but there's a MODOK miniseries where he's in love with, I think it's Captain Marvel, or is it Jane Foster?
Jane Foster.
Right,
Jane
from the
Foster.
Secret Wars stuff from like 2015 or 20. Oh, buddy, it's hilarious.
Covers are excellent.
And the art is just impeccable. Like they have this like purplish type of palette, like this very
vibrant,
very pastel-y. Oh, it's so good, dude. MODOK's a great character.
Yeah.
So the fact they did this to him is just slanderous.
It hurts.
It breaks my fucking heart.
I don't know why they would do that.
Because it's people who don't watch or don't know anything about comics. So they don't have their feelings invested in this stuff. They're happy to just like spit out whatever kind of drivel that they like interpreted from things, rather than going and looking at what ostensibly comes to hundreds and hundreds of hours of source material written by people clearly a lot more talented than you. That's why their stuff has lasted generations. And you're just some person that's adapting it to film, fucking goof.
Yeah.
But you're just such an arrogant twat. You can't go and just be like, look, this is probably better. That's why this person in the 1960s who came up with this MODOK character was able to get it into like the comic book lexicon of Americana.
If the source material works.
Bloody good. It's so bloody good. That's why.
I agree with you.
Just do what's there.
Do the source material. It's not hard.
Putz.
Like it's not hard to make MODOK.
It's hard when you can't separate your ego because you want to prove that you can adapt things your way.
You didn't make MODOK,
and put your spin on it, right? But it's everybody wants to put their own unique twist on things, rather than paying homage to what brought you to the dance.
Right.
The first time you put MODOK on the screen, because this would be the first time.
A live action, yes.
Right. This would be the first one. Why would you take that and adapt it in some silly ass way compared to the way it's been presented 100 times before this?
You guys,
because you're right. Good job.
Good job.
Anyways,
and another one about changing.
I like MODOK, so that hurts my feelings. When you showed that to me, I was like, "This is BS."
It hurt my.
It looked like it was fake. I thought for sure it was fake.
I thought it was fake too. The first 300 times I've seen that picture, but no, it turns out to be real.
Yeah, you swing in different circles than I do, so I didn't see that until you showed it to me. But it definitely didn't. It didn't amount to me enjoying what I was looking at, because it looked like they were taking what was a perfectly good character they could have easily just adapted from the source material, and they would have been fine. And instead, they were like, "Watch me punch myself in the dick 50 times."
Why not?
Why not? Watch me do it in front of you.
Let's talk about another person that likes to change source material here.
All right.
Seth Rogen has made April O'Neil fat. Like fat, obese fat. Now, I'm not saying anything. I used to be obese fat. I was a big fat guy. Still a little am.
You carry it well. You're like one of those plus size models.
Ooh,
right.
Looking now, opportunities.
Right. It's all fat in the dick.
Of course, ladies, all fat in the dick. It's all good.
Anyway, so April O'Neil from Turtles.
Turtles, yeah. So he's doing.
Who made her fat?
Seth Rogen.
What's a fucking goof though?
Okay, when I first saw the teaser trailer, it was only like
that
10 seconds.
Ridiculous.
It looked good. Then they released like the next day the full length trailer of it, and it's horrible.
None of that surprises me.
Does not look good.
None of that surprises.
We need to go back to real life prosthetics, men in suits.
I'm not interested in Seth Rogen or anything Seth Rogen does, so I'm not overly surprised that you're not impressed, because
he used to be funny.
You say Seth Rogen, and I immediately just mentally check out, and I'm like, you know what? That guy's had more than enough chances to not have to be constantly on his pulpit about something.
Right. I don't know why you have to be.
He's a very angry pothead.
Right, for being
a pothead, he's got his head up his ass, like way up his ass.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm not interested in him.
What a tool.
I'd go back to the other movie and worry about that.
Right. I was just saying like how people change, but yes, don't do that.
Yeah.
But in the realm of movies and everything, have you ever heard of The History of the World, Part 1?
Yeah, Mel Brooks.
Yes.
Yeah, History of the World Part 1. That's like what, early 80s, late 70s?
Yes.
Something like that, right? Excellent stuff. Like kind of a condensed telling of the history of the world. But like
It's
super
comedy.
super comedic, right? Because it's Mel
Sure.
Brooks, right? It's Blazing Saddles. It's
all because of Young
Spaceballs.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff. Mel Brooks is Spaceballs, right?
Yeah, Mel
yeah.
Brooks.
So like Mel Brooks is one of the funniest dudes. Still alive.
Still alive,
He's like
90.
I was gonna say he's 90, what, 5?
Something like that. But in his late advanced age, he has made History of the World Part 2. It is now streaming on Disney Plus.
What?
Yeah, it's on the
He made
Star.
it too?
He actually,
Like he's actually
he
the
narrates it. He's not in it. He's like has a one where he's like, oh, that made me look like what I did back in the 80s when I made the first one. It's like this big bodybuilder with his face on it. But no, he's obviously too old to be starring in it.
that's still pretty boss though.
He still narrates it and everything. I fully checked out all 8 episodes that are out right as of right now of this recording. It is excellent. It makes some good cameo appearances. The main stars of it is like Ike Barinholtz.
Oh, you've
Jack
watched this
Black.
already?
Yes, I've watched the first 8 episodes. I don't know how many are in the
Son of
season.
a bitch! How much time you got in your hands?
I watched one episode every night before I went to bed.
Okay, so what are we talking about here? Get me back up
The
to speed.
History of the World
Right,
Part 2.
Right. So this is a TV show now, not a movie.
It's a TV show. It's a skit comedy base, so it's almost like a Mad TV type of stuff.
Okay.
And it's just like how
Pick up where the
history-
last movie left off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that they'll have the faces like you'll know. They have the Nick Knoll. That's
How do you know who I know?
You know who I know.
You don't know who I know.
I know who you know.
Don't assume who I know. You know. You don't know.
assume who I know. I know you
I
know.
know who you
You don't know who I know.
I know you.
No, oh,
That's
you don't
enough.
Know.
I know you. I know you.
Right.
Enough to take you down.
Glad
I know
we
the things
clarified
you've
that.
done. I know the things you've done. The places you've been. Son of a bitch.
That's right. Anyways, back to the subject at hand. I would suggest go checking it out. Mel Brooks, if you love him, you'll love that show.
What if you hate him? What if
Well, then
you
you
fuck?
hate him too.
What if you absolutely fucking hate Mel
Then
Brooks?
don't go check it
What
out.
if you want to punch Mel Brooks right in the dick? He was like, you know what?
I
Mel
wonder if
Brooks,
he's hacking.
probably be that funny. You gotta be loose.
You
You
do.
gotta be loose, right?
You
And
have
when
to.
you got a big dick, you loose. So we got a
Right.
big bank account.
Or maybe sauce all the
He's
time.
rich with a
That
big
way.
dick. Yeah, that's how he's so old too. He's loose. Ain't all pent up and dropping dead, right? Loose, super loose. Still
Yeah.
making comedies.
Of course.
Too loose
Of
for
course.
his own good, that motherfucker.
So they do make some cameo appearances from people that have been in his other movies leading up to this one. So it's fun. It's a fun trip. It's a fun nostalgia trip.
It's crazy that many people are still alive from his stuff. Because he goes way, way back.
Way, way back.
And we're not talking about a guy who's been doing stuff recently. There hasn't been a Mel Brooks thing since what, maybe the early 2000s? Maybe.
I think Spaceball's cartoon.
There was something in the early 2000s that Mel Brooks was like, I want to say was still like the director
Not a
of
filmographer. So
Rat Race or
Did he do
Mel,
Rat Race?
Mel Brooks did, I don't know if it was that, he did something.
I keep hitting.
Late 90s, just slap it
I'm
off.
doing that.
Don't take it. If that
I don't
microphone
wanna
is
take it.
bullying you, if you feel like
Are you bullying me, Mr.
feel like
Microphone?
your space is being encroached on by that microphone, and it's not respecting you as a
No.
person, you just revolt.
Anyways, if you guys like that, if you like
Don't you
that,
anyways them?
well, hey, I'm gonna anyways. Then.
Wow.
I keep on
I
trying
gotta
to put
piss and
my.
smoke a bowl. You want to come
Okay,
back?
yeah,
We'll
let's
come back.
do that.
Okay, we'll be back. Peace. I gotta pee.